And now, holy shit, folks.
I always remind people, I am suspended for life for minor hockey.
It's my duty to please the booty.
Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Phil only drinks Coke. He doesn't drink water. I'll fucking quit.
Fugazis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 420 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. Happy holidays to the Chiclets gang, whatever you may celebrate. We have a huge guest for Christmas time for you. You're going to love it. Lots to talk about. Let's check in with the gang first. Let's mix it up a little. Let's do reverse order. Ryan Whitney, the Whit Dog. We got a lot of soccer to get to, but how was your week, your weekend, and whatnot?
Excellent week. I mean, ended off with maybe one of the craziest sporting days I can ever remember in terms of viewing. Some wild stuff went down on Sunday. My week prior was fantastic. I went down on a 5:45 a.m. flight on Tuesday to Fort Lauderdale with everyone knows Ned from the podcast and my buddy Shawzy. We went down to see Keith Yandel. We all know Yans, and he was nice enough to bring us to his golf course called Coral Ridge. It's in Fort Lauderdale by the sea, this beautiful course. It's surrounded by some really beautiful neighborhoods, just right in the middle of like a residential area. We had a lot of fun playing there Tuesday. And he then took us to the Grove, Michael Jordan's paradise, golf paradise in Hope Sound, a little north, just past Jupiter. And it was just a time and a half. I mean, when I say striped the golf ball around, I striped the golf ball. I was making putts. I will blame my caddy, Ben, who was just a fantastic guy at the Grove. I had 4 birdies, and I was, I think, even par with 5 holes to go. And all of a sudden from the clouds, he's like, hey, if you make 5 birdies, that's a big deal. You could then maybe bring me up on the podcast. And there was like 3 big time birdie holes coming down the stretch. I missed the putts on all of them. I said, thanks for the absolute mush there, Ben Dog. But still a fantastic day. And then the following day we met with our buddy Jovo, and we played over at Adios and then flew home Thursday night. It was great. It was absolutely great. Jovo's the man, maybe the most, just such a great guy. He only could play 11 holes with us, and then he took off. I believe he had to get home for something, and we buzzed around for like 27 more, just us 4. Not even with a member. So thank you very much to Adios. What a great place that is. An all men's club. I don't know the town it's in Florida, but just a fantastic 3-day getaway playing some golf. The reason I was able to go on that is because earlier my wife had mentioned to me about a month earlier, she was going to go to New York City with some friends. I said, oh, okay. Can I go to Florida? Like a couple weeks after that, she said, sure. Well, she didn't go to New York, but your boy still went down to Florida. So that's a win-win in terms of the husband-wife agreements, in terms of going away and leaving one with the kids.
Now you owe 2.
Yeah. Oh, I owe 22 at minimum. But
how pickled did Ned get on that trip?
Not at all. We just had a couple casuals at night after playing golf. It was really fun to just hang around with the boys and see Keith. And what a life he's living in retirement right now. He goes up to Toronto. He does the Sportsnet Monday nights. Then he's done some TNT. I think he's doing one December 27th, right around then.
28th. Yeah, he's doing 28th.
So he's excited. And I believe that's actually the Boston Devils game that night. So Bruins Devils, which should be a pretty special matchup. So
he also just launched a hockey camp. Got to give that a quick shout out.
And he's launching a hockey camp with his brother Brian, part of the Rink Shrinks. Shout out Rink Shrinks, Mike Motto and Brian Yandel. They had my dad and Buddy Yandel on for their 100th episode. So go give that a listen if you're interested in hearing how us goofballs were raised and brought into this wonderful world of hockey. So then Saturday night, we got together with about 14 or 15 couples. I think this is the 5th year in a row we've done a big kind of Christmas get together. It's a bunch of us like lifelong friends. Our wives are really close. So just a blast. One of those moments where you feel
party?
so. Pardon?
Key party?
No, we stayed away from the key party this year. That's the 10-year anniversary. We're all going to switch each other's wives around. It's going to be a blast. Just a couple swap for Christmas, year 10. But it was one of those, nights where you're just so thankful.
Get the turkey baster out of there. Holy shit.
Okay, yeah, you've taken it far enough. I was trying to be very heartfelt in saying I was thankful for some wonderful friendships I've had my entire life, in which I heard just a hilarious story. There was many flying around, but this one I'll quickly share, and I won't say his name. He's got 2 girls, and they had a boy little time ago. So wonderful, healthy, happy family, and he doesn't make many of the appointments with the doctor, the 12-month checkup with the pediatrician. So finally he went to the 18th-month checkup, and their oldest daughter was with them because she wasn't feeling well, or she was missing school or something. So the doctor comes in, the pediatrician comes in, all friendly, and she says to his daughter, his older daughter, has your brother has he been learning some new things? Has he been learning things? She goes, yeah, Daddy taught him how to go get him beers from the fridge. I guess the pediatrician goes, has he learned anything else? So shout out my boy. You know who you are. One of my best friends teaching his year-old son to go get him beers out of the fridge. I said it, I hope they're Big Deal Brewings. But yeah, overall, just a fantastic week. And this time of the year is just special. We'll get into that a little bit later, I think. So it's great to talk to you guys and be here ready to record, because I have some amazing, well, I consider my thoughts amazing. I'm sure many people listening don't necessarily agree with that, but I have what I think are some amazing takes on just a wild Sunday.
Yeah. Well, not only Sunday, but also some great hockey being played and fucking some crazy wild card races, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the Rangers fans right now, you got me. You got me. I had you a couple weeks ago. Right now, you got me. I'm openly and willing to admit that. But a long season. We can get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a little bit. Next up, Paul Biznasty, Bissonette, resting up. You're on the road again, man. You're home for a little bit. You were just doing TNT the night. We're going to get to that shortly. Home for a stretch, and then you're going to be in Buffalo this Friday for yet another Big Deal Bruin draft tasting.
Yeah, it was quite the eventful week. I've been sick as a dog. I think I got sick on that Big Deal Brewing trip when we went to Philly. Ended up ending it off in New Jersey.
The trip where you had 500 beers in 4 nights, that one?
Ask Grinelli. I was in bed by probably 11:30 every night.
Wow.
Yeah, would I have a couple with the fans at the events pregame? Absolutely, but very responsible in my old age by making sure I'm in bed by at least 12 o'clock.
Yeah, you need your hours.
Got to pick
But
your
this
spots.
flu this season, like the cough, it just doesn't leave you. It just lingers. And on top of that, I think from coughing so much, I got this like infection in my nut. I was worried that I thought I had testicular cancer. My fucking nut is about as swollen as my fist right now. So I ended up going to the Coyotes game. I had to do back-to-back Coyotes game Friday, Saturday, where they played the Islanders, and then they ended up playing the Sabres. So I had to double dip on the Coyotes duties as well. And all through kind of being at the end of this sickness. And I was nervous. I called my buddy Peter Forsberg, who I grew up playing with in Saginaw, who'd had testicular cancer. And I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, how does it feel when you have it? Asking a bunch of questions. He's like, go see the doctor right away. Luckily,
why are you calling me?
He over FaceTime. Just say, hey, how does this look?
Yeah.
How's this swollen grapefruit?
He's like, show
here?
your wife.
Yeah.
She must have saw it before.
Yeah. He's like,
That
can
an
you roll
ostrich
back
egg?
what's behind the Forsey? Roll back the Forsey. Formato cheese. But luckily he told me it's just like some sort of an infection. It might have had to do with getting the flu and all that coughing. So, buddy, it's been a tough go, but I got to watch a lot of live hockey. We had the Wednesday TNT broadcast, which was a blast with Revo, and I know we're going to get to that, but it was fun, man. It was fun getting to see not only the Islanders, but Tage Thompson live in action, man. This guy is a fucking beast. 24 goals in his last 24 games. So great to be at the Mullet Arena. No scraps in the stands this time. So it was all very tame, but everybody was in a festive mood. It sucks though, because I was working so much in the past week. I was a little low on energy, especially coming off the sickness that, buddy, I slept. I didn't even get to watch the World Cup. We interviewed Peter Forsberg early in the morning, earliest interview we've ever done at 7 a.m. And then I went right back to bed, and it was 2-0 off the hop. And I'm like, oh, okay, not big deal. Cause I checked my phone. And then when I woke up, they were at the end of penalty kicks. And I'm like, holy shit, I must have missed something.
You missed something special.
First lead in soccer.
It's always nice when the fans at Mullet Arena get to leave with all their fingertips and stuff. So it's great we didn't have any more brawls. That's a win.
But it was good getting back in the mix and watching the Desert Dogs. They're great at home. Great atmosphere. And they've been a treat to watch, and they've been working their fucking bags off. So I'm hoping that they might lose more games in the back half of the season so we can get a stab at the top 3 picks coming up. Because you don't want to fall out of the top 3, because we got three difference makers in this year's draft.
I think there's 4.
Yeah,
I think there is 4.
Okay, well, every time we talk, we add a guy to the list. So I don't know where they're breeding these kids in which lab in which country, but hey, as long as we get then in the top 4. But Coyotes have never had a higher draft pick than 3rd overall. So I'm hoping they got a horseshoe up their ass this year.
Yeah.
And they can muster one up. But it was all hockey focused in the last week for me, guys. Nothing much exciting in my personal life other than having a nut the size of a grapefruit.
So in terms of the nut, did you see or talk to a doctor?
Yeah, Dr.
Okay.
Liberto for the Coyotes. He ended up fondling it, and he told me, he goes, no, this is pretty common, and he put me on some antibiotics, and yeah, hopefully the swelling goes down, and I get to enjoy the holidays with my folks.
Jesus, Biz. Just to let the fans know, in Buffalo, you're going to be at the draft room this Friday from 5 to 7, correct?
5 to 7 o'clock. I'll be pouring beers. It was where we ended up going for the Chiclets Cup event. Great atmosphere there.
Okay,
so everybody who wants to come before heading over to the Sabres game, I'm going over to the Sabres game with a bunch of friends. They are going to be playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I know they went on that 7 or 8 game slide not too long ago, but the Sabres have picked it up, and they're right outside of that wild card spot. So it's good to see them playing meaningful games around the holidays. And I'll be there to check out the Tampa Bay Lightning and Tage Thompson and staff.
Hearing from Sabres fans online, I think what they're most happy about is the fact that it's exciting hockey. Yeah,
Yes.
they're winning games and they're playing better and things like that. But more than anything, they're watching an exciting team. So win or lose, I don't think many fans expected, a monster season in terms of the team's points total and standings wise. But to see excitement and a lot of goals being scored, I think that makes the fans happy enough to finally be watching some competitive hockey.
The most goals being scored. They're first in the NHL right now with 124 goals. So definitely some very exciting hockey. And on the top of that, little secret, I guess I'll let you guys know, going over to Rochester that afternoon before the event to go sample the next wave of the next beer, because there's going to be plenty of samples to try for the next one that we're going to launch. Not exactly sure where it's going to come out. We're going to keep fine tuning what the idea is. And hopefully by summertime, we have a new big deal brew for you guys on top of the original Golden Ale. So the Golden Ale will be on draft, and we'll be rocking it on Friday the 23rd before that game, 5 to 7. Stop by, I'll pour you a pint, and we'll kick things off in style right before the holidays. So thank you to everybody who's been supporting the Big Deal Brew, and we love you guys. And make sure to pick up a 12-pack or a case for your loved ones during the holidays.
Absolutely, had a few myself yesterday. Producer Mikey Grinelli, by the way, great job on the roadie blog we did from the Big Deal Bruin tour that you guys did the full Monty. I hit Newark and Philly, but what have you been up to, buddy? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. Grinelli Claus spent the weekend Christmas shopping. Christmas is my absolute favorite time of year. I'm a gift giver, love giving gifts. I actually hate receiving gifts. Unfortunately for me, I always wait till the last minute to do my Christmas shopping. I don't know if that's the case for you guys. Have you guys finished up your Christmas shopping yet?
Does that mean
I
like
started it?
Are you when it comes to relationships, are you more of a giver than receiver?
Oh,
Definitely more of a giver. 100% more of a giver.
Bonk.
We decided I think this is 2 years now. No gifts on Christmas.
Yeah,
Me and the wifey. It's like, you get stuff throughout the year you need, you want. It's not about us giving each other gifts. Now, she's never listened to an episode, so I think I'll end up getting her something, and hopefully, I'm sure definitely she won't get me anything. So at least I'll kind of win, and maybe here, you had to have something. But I haven't even decided that for sure.
You're like, by the way, I booked another golf trip, sweetie. I hope you enjoy that bracelet I got.
Well, she says, what do you want? I'm turning 40 in February. What do you want? What do you want? I say, just allow me to go on golf trips. That's literally the only thing
you should get a punch
to give
card.
me.
That was
You
a
get a little punch card,
wasn't it?
for the year.
Very true. It's like
Ray, did you just ask if that was part of his prenup?
no prenup in the Whitney relation in the Whitney household. So
obviously
thanks for
being
bringing that up.
sarcastic.
All right, it's not awkward or
But-
anything.
No, you talked about on the show in the early days, like you made it clear that golfing was your passion, and that that was part of the
yes,
deal.
when we
Yeah.
met.
Yeah.
We met, I thought he said prenup. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I did. I did. I was exaggerating a little.
Yeah, no, yeah. That was made clear. Our first date. So, what was it? Oh, Biz, in terms of the punch card, I actually don't mind that. And then when you get the 10th one punched, instead of getting like a free sub or a free coffee, that's the one I can take a private jet on. Right?
Okay.
There you go.
Now we're talking.
There we
Better
go.
be moving that Pink Whitney, buddy.
Well,
Oh,
fuck.
shit.
That's up to you. You're the workhorse.
Yeah.
Oh, All right, before we go any further, here's a few words from our friends at Pink Whitney. Gang, it's that time of the year again. Holiday season, lots of parties, lots of holiday cheer. Make sure you head over to your local package store, pick up some of that fine Pink Whitney, the pink lemonade flavored vodka from New Amsterdam. Unbelievable stuff. Gee, I know you probably got 9,000 bottles in your shelf right now.
Yes, I do. I actually got my Pink Whitney ugly sweater on right now, but I've mentioned it last pod and I'm mentioning it again. There is no better stocking stuffer than the Pink Whitney nips. I can't stress it enough. I got 3 brothers. Every Christmas, you just drop a few of them in each of the stockings, and it's the gift that keeps on giving, RA.
There you go, buddy. And if you don't want to go to the liquor store, if you like to venture solo, head over to your local bar, get a shot, maybe get a little club soda. Either way, get that Pink Whitney at your local bar, and happy holidays from your friends at Spittin Chiclets. Well, boys, we're coming.
All right, what the hell have you been up to?
Like you, Biz, I was under the weather a couple of days last week. I fucking never get sick. Twice already this winter. Just whatever.
Everyone's
more
sick.
bugs going around, whatever. I don't know if it was strep throat. I was laid up for a couple of days, but I bounced back. I went down across the street to my favorite bar, the Warren Tavern, for a little late night bite to eat. Ran into some listeners. They invited me back for a nightcap, and like I said before, I'm in a non-smoking building.
4 a.m. later.
No,
Did you take a shit in their apartment and then leave?
Nope. They had a bong, and they offered, I can't do bong hits in my house, because I'm in a non-smoking building. Always appreciate a couple of bong rips. So yeah, I met some listeners, and then similar to what Witch just said, meeting old friends. A couple of weeks ago, a bunch of us were together, and it was a drunken plan, like, oh, let's all go down the tavern the week before Christmas. And lo and behold, it all come true. And like 50, 60 of our oldest friends get together yesterday. Just an awesome time. And I got a whole bunch of my friends on the Big Deal Brewing yesterday. They all loved it. Not one person complained about it. And trust me, if they didn't, they'd tell me to my face. So yeah, I had a couple pups, hung with some awesome friends yesterday, and kind of getting in that holiday spirit. I could be a little bit of a Grinch, a Scrooge and whatnot, but it's always good to see old friends, especially the older you get. And you kind of lose a few over the years, so you appreciate your friends and whatnot the older you get, for sure.
Can I make a quick point about Big Deal Brew? A lot of people have been asking me in New York and New Jersey, like, where can you find it? You need to call your liquor store or beer store, obviously, and request it, because they're all individual stores. They're not chains in New York and New Jersey. So make sure to call your favorite store, wherever you get your beer, and request that they order Big Deal Brew and order lots of it.
There's also a finder on the website where you can see all the locations. What's the website that they can go to check that out?
You can go to bigdealbrewing.com to find that.
Okay, well, that's pretty simple.
There you go. It is funny how many people they'll like tweet at you or whatever, instead of just calling the fucking liquor store or asking the liquor store. It's like, I don't know, cut the middleman out, reach out to people. I don't think young kids call the place, find out if they have it anymore. You get that perception, Biz?
Why are you saying they have no social skills, RA?
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, yeah. Like they're just less likely to, go to the source instead of adding an extra layer in there. But hey, whatever works. Buy the beer. It's delicious. The holidays are here. And like I just said, the Winter Classic and the live show just around the corner. And we are going to be doing an appearance before the game, January 2nd at Game On. G, do we have a time on that yet, or is that TBA?
It's TBA right now. We will post it on our social channels everywhere once it's official.
Okay, absolutely. Can't wait for that. I mean, Christmas next week, then a week after the live show, my first one. I can't fucking wait. But you boys have another sandbagger coming out this week. Eric Cole and Justin Williams, correct, down in Carolina?
Oh, yeah. Big one. Big match.
All I could say is, wow. I watched it. I've been through it. And just, Biz, I can't really say much without giving things away, but does wow kind of describe it to you?
I would say top 3 most competitive matches, and going against a juggernaut. Justin Williams, him and Ray Whitney are the best golfers we've ever had. And sure enough, a former teammate of his who won a Stanley Cup. So we lost to the last group of guys who won Stanley Cups in Commodore and Ray Whitney. So now this is our rubber match against the Carolina Hurricanes on their home turf. I think Justin Williams lives on that golf course that we played. And what's the name of the course?
I think it was McGregor Downs.
Okay.
Beautiful track. I just saw actually the trailer that'll probably come out tomorrow that Pasha put together. Is pretty funny. But yeah, Justin Williams, complete stick. Eric Cole, very funny. We then have an interview dropping with him next week. So you'll be able to kind of learn about him in terms of his personality and how funny he is. And then our interview will drop after the Sandbagger's been released. So yeah, I don't even know what to say. You'll be entertained. And this is number 15, and we're going for 6 in a row.
We are going for 6 in a row. We will see you Wednesday night. That's when it's dropping, right? On the Spittin Chiclets YouTube channel, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you subscribe. And we'll
At
be
a time we were 5-4, and things were like, "What's going on? Are we just that average?" And boom, we shot up to 10-4.
tempo.
So I mean,
Tempo.
11-4 or 10-5. Either way, we look pretty good. But I'll tell you what, the first one sounds a lot better to me. Tune in and you'll find out.
Love it.
Can't wait. Can't wait. I have no idea. I don't like to ask. I like to be surprised myself. What you already mentioned, crazy Sunday in sports. I can't believe how many people in America, my boomer uncles were texting me during the soccer game, World Cup final. They're saying it was the best ever. Argentina beats France on penalty kicks. Insane game performances. Messi and Mbappe. This kid, he's already got the record for most goals in the final, right? He turns 24 tomorrow, I think. Absolutely insane. You're the de facto soccer guy on the show, so let's go to you first on this. Insane.
All right. I don't even really know what to say. I guess I can go over how amazing it was to watch that. It was over the course of 3 hours, and it was the most entertained, or maybe the most entertained I've ever been watching a sporting event. I don't even really know what I could compare it to. The entire storyline of the GOAT, Lionel Messi, many people say he's the GOAT, whatever. It's an argument to be had, but he hasn't had a World Cup. It was kind of the final thing he needed to complete this resume in terms of being the greatest of all time against the young gun, the up-and-comer, the maybe future GOAT in Mbappe from France, who already has a World Cup when he was, I think, 20 or 19 years old. They won the most recent one. So just the fact that FIFA was able to get lucky enough to have these two teams square off. I mean, you could have actually seen Morocco play Croatia. There might have been 7 people in the United States watching. Instead, we have Messi versus Mbappe in this amazing game. And what happens? They come out gunning. Mbappe gets a penalty kick. He buries it 1-0. Shortly after, about 10 minutes. Now, the first half was domination.
You need to say Messi. Messi.
I'm sorry. The M's really mess with me, especially around Christmas time. No, Mbappe, you lost, bitch. But my father came over. He's a big soccer fan as well, so we wanted to watch the game together. Never in a million years did I think it would turn out that way. Now, I was rooting for Argentina, partly because I think Messi, and now granted, I follow him on Instagram. Like, I don't know anything, but in terms of famous GOAT type athletes, and especially in the soccer world where it can be very flashy, it can be very dramatic. They show off their cars, they show off their watches. He just seems like such a centered family guy. You look at his posts, you've never heard a bad word spoken about him. Now, granted, I haven't heard many things, but just seems like a true salt of the earth winner who teammates and fans alike seem to love. So he's going against and he's trying to get the title. The first half, they dominated. They had this guy, Di Maria, just a freak with the ball. Now, he hadn't started a game until the final, so he came in. He was the best player in the first half. Argentina goes out to a 2-0 lead. They score on the PK by Messi. Di Maria scores one of the most beautiful passing plays I've ever seen to go up 2-0. That's when Biz decided to go to sleep. And you looked like maybe this thing's going to be a runaway. I said to my father at the time, I said, I don't want to be greedy. I want Argentina to win, but I want it to be a great game. He said, I just want them to win. I don't mind if they get 2 more and they win 4-0. I just want them to win. Well, sure as shit, what happens? France ties this thing up with 2 late goals. Mbappe is such a freak. He's so fast. And I remember watching clips of the World Cup final against Croatia 4 years ago. I mean, he's doing things that I've never really seen be done in terms of speed with the ball, just straight up gassing by defenders. Well, what does he do? He gets 2 late and they tie it up. Now, the second one, it's like, I think they have everything in order. And for me, my problem was, and I'm all over the place here. All right, hop in, Granley, hop in. I know you guys watched it. It seemed totally like Argentina. They got up 2-0, and it was just like any sport. If you sit back and play prevent defense, it never works out. Now, I tweeted, why did they take out Di Maria in like the 63rd minute? Well, everyone said he's older. He hadn't started many games. He wasn't fit to play the whole 90 minutes. Well, I guess that all these soccer people are telling me that's a no-brainer. It's a good sub. I'm kind of like, this is the World Cup final.
Oh, I saw your tweet. You're saying, wouldn't this guy be running on adrenaline? Which I agree with you. It's the finals. You got the Messi storyline. Everybody's trying to get it done for him, and everything seemed to be going well. So all of a sudden the sub, and it seems like the feng shui gets thrown off.
Yeah, and part of the sub is that, all right, well, he's not great defensively. He's older. He's not fit to play a full 90, so get him out. But it just led to the entire team sitting back. And in the same sense that Argentina dominated the first half, it was complete opposite. The field was tilted, or the pitch was tilted. Excuse me, you soccer hardo football fans. The pitch was tilted, and they tie it up late. You're like, oh, my God. I can't believe this is going to extra time. And as an Argentina fan since December 20th or it's December, whatever it is, 16th, 2022, I'm like, well, they're done now. In the final 30 minutes, they're already getting owned. Well, it seemed like Argentina was able to kind of change the tide a little bit, and they controlled the extra time real well. And Messi gets that goal on an amazing play. And I went nuts. I'm jumping around. I'm like, oh my God, like, when in life does it end? I thought of Ray Bork in a sense. I don't know. Anyone else hop in? Like, when does it end this way? This is his last international game or last World Cup game, I think it was. Is this GOAT really going to end it with a goal in the last minutes of extra time in a World Cup final? Like, just how a movie script would draw it up? Nope. Kylian friggin' Mbappe. He buries another penalty kick on a handball. Now, I believe it hit the guy's elbow. It's just crazy to see how quickly those soccer players are able to realize, no, that's a handball. Like, boom, right away, the announcer knew. And you knew Mbappe wasn't missing that, right, guys? It was a no-brainer. He's a gamer. He's a legend. He completes the hat trick. I believe it was the second hat trick in the history of a World Cup final. And boom, we're off to PKs. Now, this is the issue where a lot of people who didn't enjoy the game, which I think it was few and far between, it is super frustrating to see an amazing contest in international sports end on a skills competition. I've said it long before about the Olympic Games and IIHF. You saw Czech Republic win in a shootout when they beat Russia with Dominik Hasek in Nagano. But what happens? Argentina gets it done. And what was amazing to me is Messi, with the world watching, the pressure, not that he's feeling it when you're in the moment, you're just doing what you do. The fact he kicked that ball 3 miles an hour on the ground, I mean, what balls, what courage, what absolute.
Bigger than mine.
What? Oh, way bigger than your grapefruit nut. Just cool, calm, and collected to just slightly kick the thing in, knowing the goalie's guessing. And the biggest moment of all that I can't forget is that fucking save that the Argentina goalie made.
The foot save, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And for so many people that will argue soccer's a shitty sport, which whatever, like if you think that, no problem. There's many people who do. What made it so special for me is it's the passion involved, and it's seeing the tears within the fans and the country explode. And this means
and the
so
rockets
much
in the
more.
crowd.
This means so much more than any other sport to any other fan base. It just, to me, soccer is just a different thing. It's the beautiful game, they say. And to see the videos of Buenos Aires going nuts. I saw a video of a guy on a bike. He's just recording his bike ride, and then that final goal goes in on the PKs, and you just hear a city erupt. And it was just so amazing to see one of the greatest athletes of all time in Lionel Messi end his career by winning the World Cup and having his teammates carry him off on his shoulders the same way Diego Maradona had happened to him for Argentina. And overall, like, I don't remember a sporting event that ever really, I don't know, what's the word? Captivated like the world?
Yeah. Like I said, my crazy Uncle Mitch, the ice cream man, you guys bet him. He's like classic boom, soccer, blah, 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 bitches about it. He was texting me during the game, like, and when Messi scored, he's like, oh, wait a minute, they're still playing. I'm like, yeah, it's not sudden death OT. And he kept bitching about it, but he watched till the end. And I think a lot of old guys and people who normally wouldn't watch the game. And that run and gun, like in overtime, like those guys are out there for 2 hours already, and they're still going full speed. It was like watching the Lakers back in the 80s up and down, and that Mbappe, my limited soccer like knowledge and viewing, whatever, I've never seen a guy go one on three with the footwork on this guy is absolutely insane.
He's only 23
incredible.
too. Yeah. He's only 23 years old.
So much runway for this guy. Couple things. 4 billion people watched the final. That's insane numbers. And agreed with you on the penalty kicks. All the way up into the final, I get why they got to save and preserve guys' energy. But hey, it's the World Cup final. Lay it all on the line. You just got to go sudden death OT at that point. Even if they do sudden death OT in the first 30-minute, what would you call it? Like a
halves, like it's 15 halves for like their extra time.
I love how they obviously don't make that sudden death, because then you have the drama of the team still having the opportunity to tie it, in which they did in this situation. after that, maybe start peeling away guys where it goes to 10 on 10, 9 versus 9, 8 versus 8. But to end it fucking in the penalty kicks, it's such a joke.
Only the second World Cup final that's ever ended in penalty kicks.
I think Italy was the one who lost in the penalty kick final, where the guy went over the net.
Baggio back in '94.
Was that the final? That was in the U.S. I think that was the final.
94.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Biz,
Baggio.
what I do want to say for the people, and it's a valid argument in terms of the people who want it to be sudden death and the extra time, it almost creates a thing where a fluke goal isn't going to necessarily win it, right? If you get the fluke goal, you may hold on. But the fact that that's not over, like you said, we were able to see Mbappe tie it up after that handball. Yeah, it's just like such an incredible thing to see a country care that much, or multiple countries care that much and get it done and see a career wrap up that way. It was full blown one of those stories that if you sent to a film executive, he's laughing at you. He's like, no, that's too unrealistic. So
Kind of like Ovi's goal chase right now, how everything just aligning. It's wild. I know we're going to get to that in a little bit, but he does have the opportunity to tie Gordie Howe's record against the Detroit Red Wings, and that game is happening Monday night. So we're recording Monday afternoon right now. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind with this guy and a storybook style story, if that makes any fucking sense, with this guy just pumping goals in left and right. And he ends up getting the hat trick the other night in order to tie it. Just fucking insanity.
Yeah, Biz, we'll get to a little bit more of that with Ovi in a second. But my favorite highlight might have been after the game when Salt Bay was on the field.
Let's think about it. Yeah. Well, you think if he plays in MLS for the next 3 years, there's a World Cup in the States. Right there. They come asking.
Like pawing at Messi. Did you see the clip? Buddy Reaves at Barstool wrote a blog about it. Like legit, like pawing at him. And I'm a star fucker, and I was offended. I was like, oh my God, buddy, like he just won the World Cup. Like, leave him alone. He was like clawing at him like a 15-year-old at the Beatles back in the day. And like Messi just looked at him, like literally walked away. It was like wicked embarrassing.
I'll say this. I've never met Salt Bay. I don't know him personally, and I don't know anyone who knows Salt Bay, but what a fucking loser. That guy, I'll tell you, he opened up a restaurant in Boston. Place sucks. Horrible restaurant.
Oh, really?
Just an awful vibe, awful food. I haven't even been there, and I'm able to say awful vibe, awful food. So Salt Bay got stuffed in a locker by Messi right after he wins the World Cup. A fantastic ending to an awesome game, and seeing Salt Bay getting crushed. And just
but then people
away.
are heated because later on he stayed on the field and he got a picture of him holding the World Cup trophy. And I guess I don't know if you didn't win it, you're not supposed to hold it or something.
Raised the cup like 7 times.
Yeah. We can't really speak on that. We're
Yeah.
being hypocrites from this
exactly.
podcast point of view if we're talking about that.
Suck it, Salt Bay.
Yeah, well, either way, it was a tremendous event, and everybody, hopefully you watched it, you enjoyed it. Biz,
Great breakdown, Whit. Holy shit! I feel like I watched the game. I didn't
had
even
so
need
much
to
fun
watch it.
watching with my old man. It was a blast. It was really awesome. I actually remember watching the France-Italy final with him when Zidane headbutted that guy.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say that was 2002 maybe. But yeah, it's just World Cup final just grabs me by the balls, and then it's and luckily it's not my grapefruit ball or business grapefruit ball, but. The only unfortunate thing about Sunday was the New England Patriots.
What
losing
the hell was that?
what is now the biggest blooper, worst play in NFL history.
We
We don't have to go into it, but
We
Yeah,
got to get to that later.
Yeah,
we got to talk some hockey.
we'll do that
boys.
in the back end. Fucking, they'll be hanging up on us in
this
a
is
second.
just chomping at the bit. For
Well, we got
hockey
some
right
big
now.
topics.
No, we do.
I'm hungry for this pod right now.
Yeah.
We got some very spicy topics in the National
I'm
Hockey
leaning
League.
away. I'm leaning away because I've had some tough takes lately, so I'm trying to steer away from the hockey because then I'm gonna get kind of, what do they call, embarrassed, or what do they call it when you have a D-man and you're just abusing him all night?
Ask Revo.
Oh, that's Is that where we're going to kick things
Was
off?
that the
Is that where we're
segue? Gee, wow. You sound like Nate over there. Yeah, Revo, man. He was all over the news this week. Absolute textbook hit. Dropped Detroit's Philip Roenick. I mean, he was looking the other way. Even Derek Alon said, I think Philip would want that one back, exposing himself. I talked to him quick there. He thought there was a penalty on the play. He was waiting for the goalie to come out. I know Reaves was not malicious. Now, a lot of people business saying Reaves was fired up because your pregame interview got him a little fucking chippy, little pissy, whatever. What do you got to say about that?
The back and forth between me and my future opponent and rough and rowdy Ryan Reaves. I tell you what, though, he backed it up. I told him, I said, I'll ask you a question when you score your first of the season. We
That was a power move there, Biz. I saw that. That might have been what really set him over the edge.
I think the wires crossed, and my apologies to Philip Roenick and the Detroit Red Wings because he just got completely bundled. That was one of the biggest hits of the year. A lot of people saying that
in the history of hockey.
A lot of people saying that it was dirty. Fuck off. I'm so sick and tired of every time there's a big open ice hit that everybody wants everybody suspended. he had his legs planted for probably a good 2-3 seconds, probably expecting Roenick to pick his head up and then maybe make a move or get rid of the thing. It was interesting to hear after the game that the explanation was he assumed that there was a penalty being called. But regardless, that still makes you fair game considering you have the puck on your stick. Maybe he thought Revo was going to retreat because of that. But back to the
he's a
neutral
big time
zone.
retreat guy.
Yeah, so he ends up just cleaning his clock. And when he makes direct contact with him, his elbow is down, and as he goes through the hit, he does like push his arms out, but no way is that an illegal check. And even Derek Lalonde stepped up and said that, hey, you gotta fucking take accountability for having your head up in the middle of the ice. And then even in that second period, first of all, he got them going, that whole lineup. And ever since that trade happened, you think sometimes like, oh, you're getting a tough guy, a fourth line guy for a fifth rounder. How much is that really going to shake things up? This Minnesota team looks alive. They got that locker room chemistry back. They look like they're having fun again, much like last season. Some much added protection also where Foligno and Greenway and those types of guys can just focus on playing hockey, where now if anybody's going to clutch and grab Kaprizov, you can have Rebo go respond. And even in that second period, he threw another monster hit. So I take full accountability, Red Wings fans, for firing Revo up pregame. But what an addition to the Minnesota Wild team that Revo's been. And then even later in the week there, he ended up coming out as Santa Claus for during the pregame warm-up at home. So this guy is just a big bundle of joy right now. And I feel bad that I'm going to have to pump his eyes shut in the next Rough and Rowdy whenever he finally retires.
Biz, for reference, let me play the audio of you on TNT going back and forth with Revo.
I'll ask a question when you get a goal. When you score your first goal of the year, Revo, that's when I'm going to start asking questions.
No, ask it now, Biz. No. Ask it now. It's okay.
No, I'd rather talk to this poinsettia. It's got more points in you this year. Wow. Revo, don't take that.
What
Are you stopping?
Revo,
don't take it. Come back? Oh, man.
Wait, just one guy at a time. I can't hear. Everybody's just yelling. What are you saying? No, ask your question.
Revo, it's okay to say that I jammed you up on live TV. You're at a loss for words for the first time in your career.
I didn't hear what you said. Ask the question again.
No, I said I would have asked you a question, but you haven't. When you score your first goal, that's when I'll start asking you questions on the broadcast.
Oh, man. You know what, Biz? You've been out of the league for so long, I don't even remember who you are anymore. All I know is you're just a commentator that used to be some AHL plug. Like, what are we talking about here?
That's true. I wasn't an AHL. I was a plug at all levels. Respect that.
I know.
But, hey, can you promise us a goal tonight? Because of your TNT performance, you got to get one to break the ice.
I am hot on TNT, so you know me. I can't guarantee anything, but I'm going to work real hard for you, Biz.
All right.
Don't let him sweeten you. We know that when you retire, you want to put the gloves on and throw down.
Listen, you can start training right now. You have 2, 3, 4 years max, and then I'll take 6 months, and I'm ready for you.
Revo, escrow's still high. Don't beat too many pucks into a square tonight, buddy.
Oh, Biz, come on now. Who are we talking to? Who are you talking to right now?
I'm in Gretzky's seat. I'm allowed to say this type of stuff.
He's feeling really good about himself right
Revo,
now.
It's no way I'm going to pay for that pay-per-view. It'll be 1 second.
You know what's funny? You're really tough sitting in, where are you right now, Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're real tough a couple of states away. Yeah, get back on the ice and then we'll talk.
All right, buddy.
Revo, just tell him the Wild's 6-3 since you've gotten there.
That's right.
6-3 since you've gotten there, man. So we're looking for a big game tonight from you.
I appreciate it.
All right.
I got you. Don't worry. I got you.
All right, guys.
I love you, Revo. You know that, buddy.
I love you guys all.
You know what you're getting into, right?
He's what?
With this boxing. You
know
what you're getting into.
Yeah,
right?
he called me out. We're trying to drive up the pay-per-view prices, so that's what I'm doing here. But here it is. Oh, the Dragon Punch. That's where I took him down. But on a serious note,
he's going to hit back.
Yes.
He hit you hard after the no goals comment. You could tell then he's like, oh my God, you goofy motherfucker with a big ass grapefruit ball. Shut your mouth. But he also not only did he come as Santa and have the Santa beard on in warm-ups, he had Kaprizov come as an elf. So
he did.
They walked in together, just a classic old let's change around Minnesota's season by Revo coming in. And that you're right, Biz. That's perfect breakdown. They're buzzing around. They look really good right now. Zuccarello has kind of just taken over, right? He had a 4-point game this week.
But before getting to some of the other guys, the cherry on top, though, was when he had the empty net against Detroit. And I was chirping about not having a goal this season. And the sea had parted. Moses had parted the sea. Like it was the 10 Commandments. He had the whole fucking lane, and he ends up hitting the side of the net. So I ended up sending out a tweet like, holy shit, how the fuck do you miss that one, Revo? But as far as the team's concerned, you said it, very top heavy in scoring right now. Zuccarello and the chemistry that he has with Kaprizov. I mean, you could put anybody in the middle of the ice on that line and they're going to be all right. But definitely going to need some more secondary scoring as the season wears on. Greenway only with one tuck right now. Foligno's got 3. Hartman's been out of the lineup, but his production was not there compared to last year where he had 34. So they're just going to need to pick up the offense a little bit. But other than that, it seems like they're heading in the right direction. Whit,
I don't really have much else on the Wild besides it's good to see one of the best home ice atmospheres in the league finally really start to get going.
Yeah, Revo's been huge for him. We got to give kudos to Ben Sherrod as well for jumping in there for his teammate. Now, Revo's the toughest guy in the league, and he stepped up and backed up his boy, so we want to give him props.
Last thing quick, I was almost impressed with how little people I saw online saying it was dirty. I know you said there was a bunch, Biz, but I actually thought for every hit now, it goes bananas. I thought even people who might say it was a dirty hit could admit, all right, well, that's just something you got to pick your head up and take a look. You're looking backwards. Just know who's on the ice and when they're on the ice.
Another point that we ended up bringing up on the panel was lack of toughness for certain teams and where it can really hurt you. Where, listen, Roenick gets lit up there and it's his own fault. But the fact that there's not really a response from the Red Wings at that point, to me, the game was lost. They got their shit pushed in. Revo was able to do whatever the hell he want. Obviously, eventually it got to the point in the second period when he threw that second monster hit where Sherratt was like, all right, I guess I'll have to fucking do something. But when it comes to toughness and team toughness, I still think it's such an important part of the game that we saw for a window of time more and more teams get away from. I think the trend is going back the other way. I mean, look at some of these up and comers too. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get into the Wi-Fi conversation, but Montreal looks like a better team with him in the lineup and a lot more confident where their young guys can just roam freely, where they know if somebody takes a run at them that he's going to end up answering the bell. So Detroit's one of those teams since Darren McCarty, they haven't really had a guy. And another one that we're going to get to in a bit was, Barkov ended up going down because of a little run-in with Hischier. Do I think it was dirty by any means? Absolutely not. But Florida, after that, came and responded and was taking runs at Hischier. Who do they have really besides Miles Woods? No one. So it's interesting, man. I think that
lost 5 in a row, Biz.
They've lost 5 in a row, and I know we're hopping around quite a bit, but I really wanted to get to that team toughness element, and Minnesota is definitely one that has it.
Yeah, Revo, huge effect. The Wild won 5 in a row, 9 of 11 to climb back into the top 3 in the Central. And Kaprizov hit 200 points in 167 games played. The 23rd player in NHL history to hit those numbers, 200 points within 167 games or fewer. The 4th fastest among active guys. The other 3, Sid, Ovi, and Gino. So that's some pretty elite company. And then to go back to the fighting stuff is Saturday we had the Big Rig versus Wi-Fi. I got to give it to Wi-Fi on points, and you got to ask, is this kid a top 3 fighter in the league right now?
I'm devastated because Minnesota has already played both games against Montreal. And so Revo was not there at the time. And New York Rangers in January were set to play Montreal twice. I thought that we were going to have a heavyweight style bout between Revo and Wi-Fi. This kid is so young and hungry, and he is chomping at the bit. He reminds me of a McDermott. Like I play with McDermott in the A. I never saw anybody hungrier than that guy for fights, and it seems like Wi-Fi has that same mentality. Night in and night out, if there's anybody who's challenging, there's not a chicken dick's chance that he's saying no. Even in a situation where they have the lead, he doesn't give a fuck. You saw him in training camp come on the scene. You saw him earlier in the season when they played the Coyotes, that fight with Zach Cassian. I think that's where he really jumped up another notch and made a name for himself. And I love Patty Maroon, but yeah, he got his shit pushed in that one. And this Wi-Fi, it's hard to put him top 3 because you haven't really seen him scrap McDermott. You haven't seen him Delorier yet, but
Martin, right?
Yeah, I would confidently say that he's in the top 5. And I would pay. Maybe I'll put my seat aside on the rough and rowdy thing, and maybe we can get Wi-Fi and Revo in the ring, because that would be an electric ticket. Look at Grinelli smiling ear to ear right now.
I want to see you in the ring, Biz. That's all.
And Revo, I realistically think could be the biggest rough and rowdy of all time.
Yeah. Oh, it will be
with what's happened in the past, and
it will be
round 3. It's like that is a full blown must-watch event when it goes down.
It has to be in Vegas or at a bigger venue than, like, no disrespect to Providence, but
I think we're going to West Banco, Wheeling, West Virginia.
Yep.
I'm coming home. Coming home. But back to Wi-Fi. PMT has embraced him and taken him in as their own. So we're basically the second podcast who's jock sniffing Wi-Fi right now, and his come up in the National Hockey League. Shout out to PMT.
Well, good shit to see some fighting back. Toughness is always going to be a part of the NHL, Biz, so we love to see it.
Before we go any farther, remember, folks, holiday drinking season has officially begun. Christmas parties left, right, and center. No Days Wasted is here to get you through those holidays feeling your best, even after boozing. How does it work? You hammer back a couple packets of DHM Detox, and don't forget the hydration replenisher, and you'll be waking up fresh, even after a big night of booze. And DHM Detox is the ultimate vitamin for when you drink. It's perfect for the holiday parties, stocking stuffers, and Christmas gifts. May I remind you, DHM Detox is 100% risk-free purchase on your first box. So if you don't love it, send it back and they will refund you. Check out their recovery bundles for the best experience. They're a combo of the DHM Detox and Hydration Replenisher. They are the only recovery products worth using because they work so damn well together. That's right, folks. DHM Detox, no days wasted. Check them out, and we're going to hammer you with a BIZ30 promo code for 30% off at nodayswasted.co. Not .com, nodayswasted.co for no days wasted after drinking.
Moving on to another subject, our boy Hazy, he got scratched from Torts Saturday's home loss to the Rangers. He had benched him in the third period of the previous game. He's got 29 points in 31 games. Whit, you had a tweet about it. You were wondering why he scratched him. Buddy KY Yandel, he had a big Instagram video about it, and they asked Torts about it. He said, it's kind of a big picture in my mind as far as the team concept. I'll put it to you this way. I can't keep looking by things just because we're worried about scoring. I've got to look at the big picture of what this team is going to be, what the standard is of how we have to play. That far outweighs losing some offense in a particular game. I'll give you that. He says he has standards he holds every player to, and there's no disconnect as far as he's concerned. And then Hayes said, I don't think I should have been benched, but he's the coach. I'm the player. But obviously, your buddy, and I know you had some strong takes on it, so let's go to you first.
Well, first, shout out Keith Yandel saying that coaches should be able to be healthy scratched.
No.
I got a kick out of that one.
Wait, let me play that audio. Of Keith saying that here.
Okay, so today I woke up this morning to a little bit of some disheartening news that Kevin Hayes won't be playing tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers. And just one of those things I can't really wrap my head around. A guy that's leading the team in scoring. Haven't played there. I know what he means to that locker room, the leadership that he brings, the enthusiasm that he brings. And, it's hard for me to realize that a guy like that won't be playing in a game because maybe a coach wants to get his point across, which is hard for me to see what the point is right now. Just even watching some of their games this year, it almost seems like they're being outcoached in a lot of those games, that they're games that they could have won, and, maybe a decision that the coaches make where it cost them a game. So, you talk about accountability and, being there for the team. I think it's one of those things that, is it time maybe a coach gets healthy scratch where, the responsibility is brought upon himself.
All right. So right there, you see now Keith and Kevin, they're best friends, right? So I understand 100%. And yeah, like people come at me, you're biased. It's your friend. Okay. Yes. Well, also I could put the friendship aside. And as I tweeted, has the leading scorer of a team who can't score goals ever been a healthy scratch? And I'm not talking like leading scorer through 3 games. I'm talking like up to the middle of December, a point per game player who's scratched by his head coach. Ortz's act is so old to me, where I'll put it this way. When he became the coach of Philly this summer, I immediately said, well, he's going to hate Hazy. and it's one of those things where he picks a guy who's really big, doesn't fight, and makes a lot of money, and he decides, I'm going to torture him. And you can say all you want about maybe defensively, some fans don't think Kevin Hayes is doing the job right now. Well, I mean, he's scoring. You can't score. And when he says he doesn't want to, it doesn't matter who the player is, there's stuff he's not willing to look past. I guarantee you, if you've watched every Flyers game this year, it's no different than any other guy. At least he's producing points. And the problem with Torts is, like, once he gets a thought in his mind, there's no way around it. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, no matter what Kevin Hayes does, Torts in his head is watching every shift. And the first time he maybe turns away from the defenseman in the incorrect direction in Torts' mind, there it is. It starts over again. He sits him down. He sat him down for the whole third period the game before, and then he decided to scratch him. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. And when you go through the same thing over and over and over, you just start to wonder, like, when does the message get old? And my other thought on the fact is, like, all right, well, let's look at in Torts' mind, let's look at a guy who's considered a leader and probably everyone's favorite teammate in the locker room. And I hate the culture here. Let's go after him. And he's going to be the guy that I bring down to basically tell everyone else, I hate what's going on here. And this guy's going to be the one to pay. So it's just crazy to me that, like, you're able to look at certain deficiencies in a guy's game. Yes, like, who doesn't have them besides a select few in the league, and decide that even though he's producing and your team, once again, can't score goals, we're going to sit him down just because my ego is so big that I don't really give a fuck. I just want to prove my point and not worry at all about the wins or losses. And Flyers fans, like, I feel like some of them are like, oh, it's good, Kevin, he's not playing the way he should be. It's like, all right, man. Yeah, I guess defensively,
nobody is.
What? Nobody is.
I mean, because like the easy way to go is like plus minus, right? He's minus 12, but he also has the toughest matchups night in, night out, and the team is just overall not very good. So you talk about, like, okay, well, what's the standard and who's he comparing it to? Where you look at a guy like, I love Travis Konecny. I would probably say he's their most complete player offensively and defensively.
Hates him too.
Right. So he's minus 14, right? So he's been on for a lot of goals against as well. If you want to talk about the defensive side, we both know Tony DeAngelo, who's minus 18 as well. He's offensive minded. Well, he's got one of the worst plus minus on the team as well. So is there going to be those guys getting healthy scratch? But as you said it seemed like right from the get-go, Hazy was the easy target and the guy to go after. And maybe the reason that is because I feel like he's the ring where guys in the locker room love him. They love being around him. Some of Torts' comments does it reek of like maybe like a buyout situation where he's trying to basically say that the way that this guy's leading and the way that the young guys look up to him is we don't want this around here? Because am I saying that he's responsible as other guys around the league in top lines on both sides of the puck? No, sometimes you need to sacrifice a little bit defensively to make plays offensively, and you need to add a little.
Can't score,
and especially when your team can't score. And when we say the team can't score, guys, there's only two teams in the league who score less than them, and that's the Nashville Predators and the Chicago Blackhawks, basically the Chicago Rockford Ice Hogs, because they're fucking brutal. So let's even take them out of the equation. So it seems like a deflection on where it's like, instead of playing these mind games, if he maybe focused more on X's and O's and working with his players in order to get more out of them, that it seems like that energy would be better suited spent in that area, as opposed to maybe making the group a little bit more divisive and no, like it's always being covered as like doing what's best for the team and setting the example, where he's the only way that you guys are generating night in and night out, and that's proven by the offensive numbers. So if you're not happy with a few of the back checks, I mean, there's probably other guys around the team that you could say, well, how about the fact that they can't make a fucking play out there and produce any type of numbers? So it's a little wacky to me. I know it sounds like we're being biased because we're sticking up for our buddies. I just don't know a situation, like you said, where a team is health bombing their top offensive player in this type of situation throughout how many games through the year. So, and there's also other guys who could probably be help bomb opposed to him who have been worse defensively. So where is that example being set?
It's Torts 101. And if you want to tell me that it's like best for what the team needs or best for the team, yeah, if you want to get the first overall pick, it is. But don't forget, this is a guy who benched Marian Gaborik because he didn't block shots. I hate to be the one to say it, and I'll also say this. John Tortorella's had a lot more success in the NHL than I ever had. He won a Stanley Cup. But you cannot treat every single player the same. Maybe in high school hockey, maybe in junior and college hockey, it doesn't work that way. And so, like, when you just look at a guy who could produce points and your team can't score, to health scratch and health bomb a guy who can actually maybe get you a couple goals or a couple points on a night you're looking to win a game, that's not the dude you scratch. And of course they go out and they lose. That
was my other theory, Whit, is they're not being shit enough to potentially get a top 3 to 4 pick. So maybe they need to find other ways in order to be worse, because you don't want to be that team to finish 8th or 9th from the bottom and then not get a good draft pick in order to advance the organization. That was my other theory, is them playing chess, not checkers, and using Hazy as the scapegoat. But just from Torts' comment, I guess it reeked of like them maybe looking towards a buyout. And we're going to see how things progress in the second half of the season between this relationship. But it seems like Hazy's taking the high road on it. He said he didn't agree with the healthy scratch. But he's a player and Torts is a coach. So that's about that.
Whit, is it fair to say, though, it's business, not personal, to paraphrase the Godfather line? Like, in other words, like, he's not doing it to pick on Kevin, but maybe use Kevin as an example to the rest of the team. Well, if I'm going to do it to this guy, then it could happen to any. Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility. I'm not willing to say it's not personal with him sometimes.
Okay.
Though.
All right. No,
and like, that's an opinion I have, that he could say that idiot's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I've heard that many times before. But it certainly seems to be personal, right? He goes in, every team he goes to, he picks a guy or two that he hates. And it's always a guy who isn't super physical and makes a lot of money. So put it any way you want.
Okay. No, I just want to present another side. The Flyers.
No doubt.
Meanwhile, haven't won back-to-back games since early November, and they just announced Cam Atkinson is going to undergo neck surgery, going to miss the rest of the season. So, I'll say this: Flyers fans deserve better. But Comcast, they don't deserve Connor Bedard. I know they're not that low yet, but like the fans, I feel bad for the fans because, people pick on them, but we love the Philly fans. But Comcast, their owners, man, they don't deserve to get a generational player right now. Screw Comcast. But all right, moving right along. Ovechkin, Biz, we already mentioned he got his 800th goal on a hat trick Tuesday in Chicago. Awesome moment, man. Chicago fans, they really appreciate it. That was pretty cool to see. They haven't had a lot to cheer for this year, but it was nice to see them acknowledged, because we've seen other events like Bergeron's getting his 1,000-point. Fans in Tampa were clueless. They didn't even know what was going on. So it was pretty cool for Chicago fans to acknowledge it, to be cognizant of what was going on. Ovi's the first guy to do it with a single franchise. Also, his 20th goal of the season, giving him 18 straight years with at least 20 goals. Howe's got the record with 22. Shanny's got 19. His 162nd multi-goal game, second only to Gretzky's 189. And it was his 136th game opening goal, breaking a tie with Jagr. So we're lucky to see this, boys. It's been, 29 years since Gretzky did it, and Gordie Howe did it back in 1980. So it's history. Enjoy it, and it's good stuff. So, all right, the next thing, Connor McDavid, not happy with the NHL rulings, pretty much an NHL fan this year like everybody else. Leon Draisaitl thought he got an OT game winner versus St. Louis this week. It was overturned. They said McDavid was allegedly offside. The Oilers go on to lose in a shootout after giving up a shorthanded goal to Tarasenko. 20 seconds left. Binnington on the bench. This game was unbelievable if you caught it. But the play, I mean, go to you first, Biz. Was he offside? I mean, how did they say he was offside? He didn't lose possession.
So after review, and we're going to get to that, it was like, based on the ruling in the rule book, to the naked eye, nobody at home could figure it out originally. And then it was being compared to the Cale Makar one against the Edmonton Oilers last year in playoff, where it was more of a tag up rule situation. My whole just thought on all this, the fucking review, the offside review, I am so sick and tired of this offside review. And then you hear him chime in after the game where, like, it's like the rules aren't specific enough to determine what the fuck is going on out here. So everybody being like, oh, well, he's wrong. I don't care regardless. I just care about the time in which these games are being delayed, not only with these reviews, but TV timeouts. It's making NHL games like going to watch an NFL game live. Like I like watching the NFL on TV because like after the play is done, you get to see a couple replays and then all of a sudden you're off and running to the next one. But going to watch live is a fucking nightmare. That's my only takeaway from this is the fact that, okay, yeah, maybe they got it right, but to the naked eye and for how close it was, is it really worth slowing the game down and stretching these games out 3 hours long and fucking fans are twiddling their thumbs up and most times in the building, people aren't even getting the review either. Like they don't get to see any of it.
Yeah, they won't put it up there.
They won't put it up for so the refs aren't getting booed or whatnot for whatever reason, but it's making the product shittier in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. And McDavid makes a good point in terms of the confusion on offsides, on goalie interference, on kicking the puck, and all these different things in terms of you watch it and you're like, I don't know. For me, the most confusing is goaltender interference. That's the one when I look at reviews when they are reviewing it, I have no clue. I honestly can't really tell you which way it's going to end up going. I guess usually it's dependent on what the call on the ice was, but that McDavid offsides to take away an OT winner on that call because he's not touching the puck. He doesn't have possession. It's not like O'Reilly hit the puck. O'Reilly never even touched the thing.
Exactly.
So it's like if O'Reilly gets a stick on it, all right, then it makes a little bit more sense. But like if you're telling me of all people, Connor McDavid didn't know exactly where the puck was and didn't have possession, that's when you just look at a replay like that after seeing this fast-paced, awesome play for an overtime winner go down and get called back on that review. It's like, yeah, what are we doing here? And so the confusion for me still, number one, is goaltender interference. But the offsides thing, I thought right back to Makar. I know being a tag up, that was the main difference. But the whole possession and puck not over the offensive blue line, but your feet are over the offensive blue line. But if you have the puck, it's fine. It's just like, holy shit, people think soccer offsides is confusing. I mean, what's going on here? So I understood the frustration, and you can't think the league is thrilled to have one of the greatest players ever in Connor McDavid basically calling out the league in terms of as a player saying, we don't even know what the rules are. So hopefully they can get it fixed. But Biz, also solid point in terms of it just adds time to the game. It adds times for fans sitting around, while also if they're checking on their phone at the game, they still don't know.
Nobody other than maybe the guy, St. Louis's video guy in the room who probably, got to one of the assistant coaches in the earpiece and said, hey, we're going to challenge us.
I think the league did that. I think the league did that.
The league flagged it down?
I think so.
Okay, well, most of the time it's the video coach who does it, but to the naked eye, nobody's saying a fucking thing, and you have the biggest superstar on the planet scoring an OT winner. Come on, man. What are we doing here? And it goes to a bigger point, too, and I'll throw it over to you for the other chatter.
Yeah, I'll get to that in 1 second. I was going to say these calls, like they have the building to building consistency of like the fucking TSA. Like every time you go to an airport, the rules are different. And that's like the same thing. Like whether it's goaltender interference, the fucking everything different. There's no.
It always comes back to RA getting searched at the airport.
Right.
It always comes back
when he actually had drugs on him and he was still upset to be getting searched. That one.
Yeah, I might be getting off the custom list, but I can't say more about that. But hey, McDavid, first to 50 points last week, first to 60 points this week, 62 points in 32 games. But anyways, Biz, Vegas last week, this was via Dave Gaucha, who used to be the terrific radio guy here in Boston. I don't know how we didn't keep him for TV, but alas, he tweeted, not a single commercial break in the third period tonight. Fastest game of the season for Vegas, 2 hours, 13 minutes. Now, I was like, wait a minute, how they not have a TV timeout? I went and looked up the box score. There were 10 faceoffs, 3 goals, no penalties. There were no reviews to kill the flow, but you can't go to a commercial after a goal or icing, and the TV timeouts after 14, 10, and the 6-minute marks. But I was still trying to do the math in my head. I'm like, I can't believe that. I mean, there was so much flow. Obviously, that was the reason, but I've never seen that at no TV timeout in the third. What were we going to say, Whit?
Well, I was going to say it's you can't do it after a goal. You can't do it after an icing. You also can't do it in the middle of a power play.
Right.
Because then it gives the chance for the number one unit to get a little rest and stay out there if that were to be the case. But
all right, how long was that game front to back?
You just said
2 hours, 13 minutes.
There you go.
Gotcha, yeah.
That's what should be going on. And as far as the TV timeouts, Whit, gas them. It takes the bottom lines out of
That's
it.
ads so busy.
That's the money.
Buddy,
man.
Bud, add them between the periods. Add more time between the periods. That's it. There's your solution. Okay. They're talking about doing an 84 game schedule, which we're going to talk about later in the podcast. And I'll give you my breakdown on that. I think TV timeouts are completely ruining the flow of the game, or drop it down to one a period. And that's it. Midway through at the 10-minute mark, once there's a whistle without the things we talked about, like as long as it's not throughout a power play or off an icing, because you have the defensive zone face off and the guys have to stay out there. It's fucking killing the flow of hockey. People don't want to be there sitting around getting bored. In some cases, with the way the rules go, you'll have a TV timeout and 4 minutes later after a stoppage, another TV timeout. And then all of a sudden you see the third and fourth liners out there skating during the TV timeout to keep their legs warm, because with all that rest, they got to get the top two lines out there. So it takes the bottom lines out of it and the flow out of the game and the attention span from the people in the building. And next thing you know, you're fucking there for 3.5 hours to watch an NHL hockey game. Gas it. Right now, I want to say that it's 18 minutes between periods.
Yep.
It might be 16. I don't think it's 20.
18.
It's 18 minutes. Buddy, make it 22. Give them a little bit of longer, and then add in those commercials there. And then they figured out other ways to get in the ads, including on the boards, on the jerseys. We got to stop with watering down the product for the money, because there's plenty of it to go around, and there's plenty of other ways to generate it, including we talk about a World Cup of hockey. That's got to be coming at some point. Okay. So it's to me, I know it's a strong point, and people say, oh, it's never going to happen. I think it's the TV timeouts have completely taken the flow out of the game, and they're making them nauseating. I talked to a buddy who went to a Canucks game the other night, and he said the same thing. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, like, it just becomes a little bit boring, like going to an NFL game where there's like not enough action to the amount of just like standing around, like nothing going on.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea. I don't know if it's possible, because I want to say, if you're saying go from 18 to 22, there's 3 TV timeouts. I think those are all 2 to 3 minutes. So you'd kind of have to add more. I completely understand what you're saying. I would love
do one of them. So do one of them and then add the extra time.
One TV timeout.
So then people have more time to go grab a beer. And by the time they sit back in their seat, it's like boom, high flying action, no stoppages. And then you get that prop. Hey, it's just going to mean more beer sales during the actual intermissions. And then every team's got to do these. Oh, the mites are playing against these mites, and then they Zamboni the ice, and then it doesn't really have much time to dry. So then the quality of the ice isn't even as good. Make it between periods.
Take a page out of soccer's book eventually.
I was just going to say that. All right. The biggest complaint right now in watching golf is the amount of ads, the amount of commercials, and the amount of golf shots you actually don't see in terms of a broadcast. And the greatest thing about soccer is you got 2 halves and there isn't one commercial. And they load it in beforehand and they load it in at halftime. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool idea. I don't know if it'd ever be possible, but Busy Boy is on to something here.
No, it's buddy. There's a way to solve this problem. So there's been talk about them moving to an 84 game schedule and minimizing the length of training camp. We had Patty Maroon on talking about how ridiculous it is. These guys are training all summer long now. They're not just boozing and getting out of shape and then using that month of preseason to get back into shape. Make training camp 2 weeks long. Add the 2 games. Do less back-to-backs as far as keeping these guys healthy and not having to wear their bodies down, because 2 games and then getting that full 2 weeks and then being able to spread things out, that's going to work out just fine. And I wrote down and did the math. Bear with me here. Rocket science. Yeah, be careful here. Okay, put your
guys. Everyone pull over if you're driving.
Put a helmet on, folks. Okay, so if you go to make it as fair as possible, an 84 game schedule. Home and away, every team in the other conference. So let's say I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs and you're going, obviously I'm picking the Leafs. You go to the Western Conference. You play 1 home game and 1 away game. That's 32 games. Three games, they're going to have to divide it between half the team. So 4 of the teams inside of your conference in the other division You're going to play 3 games against each of those teams, 2 of which are going to be at home, 1 of which are going to be on the road, and you flip-flop every which of those seasons. Yeah, well, some teams have the advantage of having those home games against worse or better teams, but that's as fair as you're going to make it, and that's going to equal 24 games. Those 3 games against everybody in the same conference in the other division. And then you go 4 games versus the other 7 teams that are in your division. And that equals 84 games. So everybody has the exact same fair shake. But the key to this is instead of watering down the product by condensing it, less back-to-backs. Use that 2 weeks. Don't make these, there should be no 3 and 4s. Fuck off with the 3 and 4s. The level of playing is way too high. I feel like that's why we're seeing more and more injuries throughout the season. Let these guys get proper rest. Let them get a little bit more practice in between games in order to keep their skills and their everything buzzing. But I'm okay with 84 games. I know we talked about minimizing it, but it all comes down to the rest and how you're going to work out the schedule and get these guys, the proper, the proper time in between. So I've been long-winded about that.
No, Biz, I love it.
I think that's as fair as you can make it.
I think you're making a ton of sense.
1 to 8. Fuck off with this keeping everything in division.
Yes.
Once again, you're playing, every team has basically the exact same advantage as to who they're playing and how many times. Shuffle it 1 through 8 after the first round, restack the deck, fuck off with these in-division rivals. Everybody hates each other enough now. You don't need to force anything.
Well, funny enough, the reason that they're trying to add the 2 extra game is for more interdivision rivalries. That was what I read, at least. Now, you guys know my dream. You guys know my dream for the playoffs. Right, G? Can you say it? You're nodding. Do you know it?
1 through 16.
That's all I want. RA told me it'll never happen. Many people tell me it'll never happen. A man can dream, though. I just think the main thing in being the good thing about adding those other 2 games is the increase in revenue while also shortening up camp. So you're able to bring guys in. Like Biz said, it used to be, come on in, get in shape. Remember the old letter from the Maple Leafs? You're going to have to do 20 push-ups. You're going to have to do 30 body weight squats, and then you're going to play a ton of golf. It ain't the 1960s anymore. Everyone's well aware. These guys are skating all summer and coming into camp probably in better shape than they are mid-season. Actually, definitely in better shape than they are mid-season because they're not battling injuries that they've been dealing with. So I love that idea, Biz. I don't know if we're going to get away from the 1 through the top 3 teams in the division making it, and then the wild cards. But yeah, I agree with you on all aspects of it. And I saw originally the 84 games. I'm like, what? I know they'll never drop games, but they're really going to add them. But if the rumblings are true that camp would be shortened and that the back-to-backs would certainly change things up, I'm down for it. But
I'm not saying
you're firing on all. You're Messi and Mbappe combined right now on this podcast.
Hey, I'm not saying there can't be any back-to-backs. I just think with using that 2 weeks and being smart about everything, you can really get these guys the proper rest. And with that extra 2 games and that added revenue, you can improve the on-ice play by getting rid of some of the TV timeouts and then also extending intermissions. There is so much they can do collectively with everything that we just talked about to improve the product and also continue to generate just as much, if not more, revenue.
You could kind of just, I don't know, like this is such a pipe dream. I don't think it'd ever happen, but I love the thought of, what did he say? Can you kind of read through it, RA?
That was Sean Shapiro. He used to write for The Athletic until they fucking bait and switched all their hockey fans and got rid of all their great writers. He tweeted, since we're all throwing out crazy NHL schedule ideas today, here is mine. Play every team twice, home and away for 62 games. At that point, split league into 2 groups, top 22 and bottom 10. Remaining 20 games are played within your grouping, top 16, still make playoffs from top 22, and the bottom 10 group, and you start new mini 20-game season with team with best record winning number 1 overall pick in the draft. I mean, it's probably unlikely, but I wanted to chime in here with. All right, before we go any further, here's a few words from our friends at Game Time. If you want to see any games this season, you need Game Time. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You guys are going to love this app. We've had tons of Barstool fans using this. We all use it. Me, G, Bizwit. You've seen us all over the road lately. Game Time has been hooking us up left and right, and they will hook you up as well. Hit us up on social when you use it. When you get the great deals, let us know. Everybody else who use it as well. We've been doing it all year. Can't wait for the playoffs to get here.
All right, I actually used the Game Time app last week when I went to the Toronto Maple Leafs versus New York Rangers at MSG. So thank you for Game Time for getting me in the door there. And like you said, it's the best app. It's so easy to use. I can't suggest it enough, especially around the holiday season here.
No doubt, no doubt. What you want to do is download the Game Time app, go to the account tab to create a login, and redeem the code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Basically, it's like you're rewarded for playing well to get that first overall pick in the bottom 10. I thought that was kind of cool. All right, you want the number 1 overall pick, you actually got to go win some games against these bottom 10 teams with the final 20 games remaining. So that was an interesting idea. The other thing that's been thrown around a lot and was immediately shut down, I was reading Pierre LeBrun in terms of talking about the play-in. And when you talk about the play-in, what he's saying is 7 versus 10 and 8 versus 9. They play a mini 2 out of 3 series at the top seeds building, so there's no travel involved, and the winning 2 teams get the final 2 spots in the playoffs, correct? In each division.
Hate it.
You hate it. Okay, so many people hate it. Some people love it in terms of
half the teams make the fucking playoffs.
So, buddy, 16 teams made the playoffs when there was 21 teams in the league. Now 16 teams make the playoffs when there's 32 teams. Okay,
so it's still half the league makes the fucking playoffs.
But half the teams are still going to make the playoffs. It doesn't change that 16 are getting in.
I understand, but it to me it hurts the product because all of a sudden you have a team that went and played a first round, and then you have these other teams sitting around, and then like, okay, you get the 10th seed ends up playing the first seed, and then they dummy them 4 games because they're a little bit tired from already playing a few playoff games. Like I don't.
All right. Well, LeBrun talked to, I think, 12 members of the board of governors. All 12 said they'd like it. Bettman said absolutely not. And his point was a good one in that he said our first round, the NHL first round, is the best experience in sports right now.
Bingo.
But it's really not going to change. It's only going to add a little bit more excitement within 4 teams in each conference to be able to just make a little bit more money. You know, the playoff gates add a little bit more. It's a possible 3 games, maybe just 2. I'm not saying one way or the other which way I'm leaning, but in terms of adding more teams, you're not changing the overall makeup of the first round. You're just adding a little teaser. It's a little appetizer. It's a little pigs wrapped in a blanket. It's a little bit like having some chips with guac right before the meal. And then the fire starts. So I'm not going to sit here and say I hate the idea. I love the first round. I just know the first round's not going to change. We're just going to get a little excitement for 3 nights prior to it all beginning.
As far as that specific one, I just don't personally like it because half the teams making playoffs, especially now if we're talking to moving to an 84 game season, it's like, why are you playing 84 games to have that many people in the mix? Like if you deserve to get in, you did so with that 84 games that you had on deck. Now to the one about the bottom 10 teams and like reshuffling it for them competing against one another to earn that first overall pick. I don't like it because you also have certain guys on the team who are like, oh, what? We're going to fucking earn a right to get this first pick. And the guy's going to end up taking my fucking job. I think what should happen is those teams that end up being whatever the worst 5 teams in the league or how many ever teams, and you bracket it to get extra balls or extra percentages as to win it. They should get bumped up on percentage based on how they played head to head against those other teams who have availability for that the lottery.
And to wrap up the schedule, the TV timeouts, all this talk in terms of business point in cutting down the TV timeouts to the period, I think they do pay a lot more to have it within the period because so many people change the channel for intermission. So I just wanted to mention RA with a solid point there.
Thanks, Whit. Appreciate that. I want to give Greg Wyshynski a little shout out too. He's the one who reported the league. It's right now they're internally discussing this 84 game schedule. Nothing officially yet. Again, a division rival is the reason for it. They will decrease the preseason games, but of course the NHLP would have to sign off on any of this. It's not the league decision. It would be a mutual thing. They've played an 82-game season since 94, 95, excluding the lockout years, of course. And the GM meetings in the spring, they're going to talk a lot more about it. And I would love to see 1-16. Believe me, I just don't think it's going to happen. It was back in the crazy 80s. The whole front office was probably doing a bunch of blowing.
The reason I'm saying no from 1 to 16 is because of the way that I structured that 84 game schedule, where you're playing way more against people inside your conference. Therefore, it's hard to balance it in a sense of like, oh, well, if you have a shit conference, you're going to get that number one spot because you were just picking off of those teams all year long.
No, it makes no sense. I just think it would be exciting as hell.
Okay.
Yeah, it would. Just the whole concept of anybody could play anybody, like sort of like the
Bruins
the
Edmonton in round 1.
Oh, yeah. Good shit. Also, too, real quick on Gary, I loved how he said that NHL polling indicates fans find games more watchable with digital ads.
Yeah,
I want to know what
Kim
these three
Jong-un.
people are, Gary.
That's some Kim Jong-un shit going on. Let me see the fucking, let me see the analytics on that, Gary.
Yeah, he's like,
they had a guy pinned down with a knife to his throat, said, how do you like watching games with the new ad boards on the ads?
Waterboard him.
Yeah, it's like, it's not a distraction.
Ask him again. Ask him again.
Until a defenseman comes crawling out of a Dunkin' Donuts sign like the fucking Terminator in the middle of the game because the fucking thing's all glitchy. I hope you boys are hungry because you're about to eat a little bit of crow. You might want to get the salt and pepper. The Leafs, we've been stroking them off lately, but they lost in regulation for the first time in 16 games, and Mitch Marner's point streak ended at 23 games in Madison Square Garden. When the Rangers beat the Leafs 3-1, Jimmy Vesey got a pair of goals. Then they beat Philly and Chicago. The Rangers, 7 wins in a row, points in 7 of 8. They're now in the wild card spot, number 1. Sunday was their third 7-goal game of the season. You guys are calling them Fugazis 2 weeks ago. Fans are saying trade everyone, fire the coach, but how things have changed, boys.
Whoop-de fucking do. I still can't stand them. I still think they're going to get bounced in the first round. That's even if they make it to playoffs. So, hey, congratulations on this little run after we gave them we poked the bear. I will say 7-0 since Trouba chucked his lid. And they did have some great wins at the start of this little stretch. They have been picking off of they beat Chicago 7-1 last game. Whoop-de fucking do. And the funny part about that one though is going back to that loss against Chicago. That was their last loss before the 7-game win streak, where Anthony Seo had those comments for Trouba about how he's overcompensating. Well, Trouba asked him if he wanted to keep the puck the other night after he had left getting one. So some good joshing going back and forth with the on ice chirps, but hey, a couple solid games in net. I think there was 4 games in which they only allowed 1 goal too. So hey, every squirrel finds a nut, but I still think they're Fugazis wit, and I don't give a flying fuck what their fans think about it.
Yeah, I don't think they're a threat at all to win the Stanley Cup. My point in which I'm getting owned by Rangers fans was my Sorokin versus Shesterkin argument, and in typical Wit fashion, Sorokin's completely shit the bed since I said that, with Shesterkin completely turning things around. And yes, they did beat Philly and the Blackhawks for the last 2 games of that 7-game win streak, but the first 5 were St. Louis, Vegas, Colorado, Jersey, and Toronto.
Some good teams.
They had some very legit wins coming in there, including the comeback win against the Devils. And I'll finish it off with my main argument about Sorokin. I think at the time I mentioned how, he owned was it the Oilers? What was the game that he owned that the Rangers that Shesterkin played like shit? I don't remember. But I said, talk to me in 10 years. Talk to me in 12 years. I think the overall body of work by Sorokin might be better. Right now, that's a tough take. But I'm going out on a limb. I'm kind of walking the plank and seeing how things go. Right now, I got nothing to say to Rangers fans besides your team will never win the Stanley Cup. I think diehard Rangers fans deep down inside, in their plums, in their big biz grapefruit nut, know the team can't win the Stanley Cup. But they've turned it around, and good for them. They're third in their division right now. I think Pittsburgh's right behind them with a couple games in hand. The teams in front of them have 2 games in hand. So we'll see what happens. But fuck. It's been a nice run for the Rangers, and a guy, Trouba, who I've been hard on. It certainly looks like he changed things around with calling out the team. He threw the helmet. He had the big hit, and he's now talking shit to Anthony Seo. So things have switched around for the Rags. Yeah, I said it, the Rags. So I got nothing to say besides I'll eat crow. I'm doing it every day. I'm married.
I think probably the biggest difference in this 7 games too is the kid line. Capo Caco, Hedel, Lafreniere. That's what they were missing. A little bit of jam from the young guns. So congratulations on this nice little run. But you guys are still fugazis and you can lick my nuts.
Yeah, well, you were correct. The Rangers right now, as we record, in third place. Pittsburgh, point behind their first wild card, but Pittsburgh does have 2 games in hand. And
they have Pittsburgh, the Islanders, the Capitals, who are playing some good hockey, and the Lightning as their next 4. So
has your mind changed on the Capitals, Whit?
Nah, not really. Although I heard Backstrom's getting closer and closer and closer, so that's a dangerous thing if he's able to come back with that crazy surgery he had and make a difference. But I'm still on board with the next few years as kind of the OV goal chase, as opposed to chasing down another cup.
I'll tell you, if I'm the New Jersey Devils, I'm getting a little bit nervous. All these other teams that were behind them are on win streaks right now.
Well, they're tied now. Carolina's on fire.
I think that was the next team we were going to talk about, wasn't it?
Oh, go right ahead. All right.
Yeah, Biz, we're going to get to them in 1 sec, but just to piggyback on Whit's point a minute ago, since the Jacob Trouba helmet chuck off the boards there, 7-0 the Rangers are outscoring the opposition 33-14. So it's obviously had an effect, and a pretty cool stat, a helmet chuck stat, not when you get it.
There you go, Rangers fans. There's your double wrister. Yeah, enjoy it while it lasts.
Carolina, yeah, man, not only nipping at the New Jersey Devils' heels, but they pretty much caught them. They beat the Penguins Sunday for their 5th straight win, their 9th win in 10 games. They got points in 11 straight and 15 out of 16, 44 points. They're tied with the Devils right now. New Jersey does hold the tiebreaker, but Devils have been scuffling, man. But Carolina taking advantage, and the big reason, this rookie goalie, Peter Kochetkov, 3 shutouts, has him tied for the league lead. He's only had 12 starts. He's tied with Husso, who's had 20 starts, and Hellebuck, who's had 23 starts, 9-1-4. With a 201, 923 save percentage. Freddie Anderson is going to be back soon, but the speculation the team's going to carry 3 goalies, given the health history of Antti Raanta and Freddie Anderson. One of these guys might get hurt again. So either way, this kid's been playing out of his mind. Natchez, Svechnikov, and Aho, they're carrying the load. But is this Biz another team where the offense is too top heavy right now? And are they a full threat because of that?
Well, they still got Pacioretty, who's going to come back after tearing his Achilles. And also Teravainen has not been producing the way, and he has been out of the lineup a little bit. They're just getting contributions from everybody right now. And you mentioned that new goaltender, Peter. They play such a good team structure that they do limit other teams' high danger chances, and they work so hard. And that was one of the things that we maybe criticized them on, is they go so hard during the regular season. Sometimes they run out of gas come playoff time. But I think that we all knew that this was going to be a team that was going to be fighting for the top of the division. And I looked to a guy who got put on waivers at the start of the year, Martinook. He got put on waivers. He's on pace for a career year, 7 goals and 7 assists so far. So they're getting a little bit of depth scoring off of him. You mentioned Natchez, who's just completely came out of his shell. They had to replace D'Angelo and what he brought offensively on the back end. What did they do? They went out and got Brent Burns. He's fit in fucking unbelievable there. So overall, man, this is, I think, what we all expected out of Carolina. We talked about them when we went and saw them against the Edmonton Oilers when we were there doing the sandbagger. This is just a full-on, well-oiled machine, a great organization, and it starts at the top with Rob Brindamore. And I see them being very dangerous, especially when they get Teravainen rolling the way that he normally does. And then Pacioretty in the lineup too. So that'll help bump back guys down to have even better line matchups, RA. I don't see them going away anytime soon. I think they're going to win the division. And that we talked about that team structure. I feel like any competent goaltender could step in and have success with this team. You saw it with Freddie Anderson when he came over from Toronto. Even Antti Ranta's had good numbers. It's just the health component with those 2 goalies that is a bit of an issue. So if this young kid could take the reins and get going, hey, having 3 guys there, not a bad thing, because I don't think Anderson's cap hit's too bad. I know Ranta's isn't bad, and then this fucking Peter guy's probably making peanuts at this point. So they do a good job of drafting and developing, and they know exactly when to move on from guys too.
And in terms of Brent Burns, to be playing this level, 37 years old, and he just looks like he's 25 out there. It's similar fashion to the way Erik Karlsson looks this season. It's just like going back in time and playing like they were friggin' 8 years ago. It's amazing to see. I want to bring up a guy, and it's Stefan Noesen. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but he's 29 years old. He spent all of last year in the AHL. What does he do? He gets 48 goals. He completely lights it up at Chicago. And then in the playoffs, he had 25 points in 18 games. But if you're 28 years old and you're spending the entire year in the minors, I think he had 2 games with Carolina, but you then make the team and you're having the season you are there, that's like a sign of Rod Brindamore, I think, in terms of getting a guy and knowing, all right, I think after what he did last year and what he showed in camp, he can add a lot to our team. He's got 15 points right now, right? He's 5th in the team in scoring, tied with Seth Jarvis. And let me shout out Seth Jarvis for one of the funniest interviews of all time. Maybe we could throw that in quick. This dude loves sleeping. Play it quick, G.
I take a lot of naps. I love naps. I'm a big advocate for naps. So anytime I have time to just shut my eyes at like 2 p.m., sometimes I take them later, like 7 p.m. It's guys don't like it because they think it messes up my sleep schedule, but I love naps, so I just take as many as I can.
He looks like a sleeper.
You know,
he
usually
looks
you got,
like a sleeper.
There's no chance he has kids. I'll tell you that right now. If I was like, hey, babe, I'm going to shut it down at 2 o'clock, the kids are getting home from school. You ain't going to sleep, bitch. So I love that this kid loves to sleep. He said he takes a nap at 7 o'clock. He must play then video games till 1 a.m. But just a great team. So Noesen, that's an awesome story, right? To spend the whole year at 28. A lot of guys at 28.
Well, they won the Calder Cup there in Chicago.
And a lot of times you have a guy who will have a huge year at that age in the minors. You're looking to Europe, and maybe if it was a different time in terms of what's going on in Russia, he would have got a huge deal over in the KHL. But no, he comes back and he ends up making the team and he's making an impact. So that's a cool story, and probably not a story that would happen with a lot of other coaches. But I think Brindamore could find guys and see roles where they may fit in, and he's fit in perfectly.
So as far as your question goes, RA, I don't think they're too top heavy. I think they've actually addressed some of those issues, and we talked about some of those guys who are contributing in the bottom 6.
All right,
and that's with Cockton. That's with Cockton and Niemi doing nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
Another guy not pulling his weight either. So, well said, boys. Also, we want to say congrats to Paul Stastny, who played in his 1100th game Thursday versus Seattle. Hell of a career he's had. But boys, we've been making the fans wait long enough. We have Peter fucking Forsberg on ice. I think it's time we send it to them. Hall of Famer. Can't add much more. Without further ado, Peter Forsberg. This interview is brought to you by Shopify. It's time to knock that new business idea out of the park with Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Forget the off-season work. Shopify makes it simple to sell to anyone from anywhere. Whether you're selling warm-ups or wall hangers, it's time to start selling with Shopify and join the platform simplifying commerce for millions of businesses worldwide. With Shopify, you'll customize your online store to your brand, discover new customers, and build the relationships that create die-hard fans. Shopify fields all sales channels to grow a winning business, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform, even across social media platforms like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And thanks to 24/7 support and free on-demand business courses, Shopify is on your team every step of the way. When you're ready to take your winning idea to the world, team up with Shopify, the commerce platform powering millions of businesses down the street and around the globe. Try out Shopify for free today and start selling anywhere. Sign up for a free trial at shopify.com/chiclets, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/chiclets. Start selling online today. One more time, shopify.com/chiclets. Well, it's a huge honor to welcome our next guest on the show. This dynamic center was the number 6 pick at the 1991 draft, and his rights were traded a year later in one of the biggest trades in NHL history. He would play 14 NHL seasons with 3 franchises, putting up 1,056 points in 859 regular season and playoff games. In addition, he won 2 Stanley Cups, a Calder Trophy, an Art Ross Trophy, a Hart Trophy, 2 Olympic gold medals, and was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2014. Thank you so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Peter Forsberg. How you been, Peter?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for the nice introduction there. Yeah, it's feels like a long time ago since I got drafted there in 91. But yeah, a few things happened since then.
Yeah, I had to decide what to leave out. It was some tough calls, but what's been going on lately? What have you been up to?
No, we moved down to Switzerland and Zug here for maybe 5 years ago. 3 kids, playing with the senior team occasionally down here, and yeah, life is pretty good.
What made you move to Switzerland?
Well, we bought into a shoe company. It's called Inuiki. So we moved down here. It's right outside Zurich, the headquarters, and my fiance works with it. So, and I kind of wanted to get away. Switzerland has always been a little dream for me. It's a good country. It's an awesome place, and so good. It's also a good hockey place. They won the championship 2 years in a row down here. So I don't get to miss out on the hockey even if I move down here. So it's great.
Where did you learn all this business sense? Because we're going to get into all the croc stuff later. Like, when did you learn all that?
No, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really great at it. We'll see about that. But it's, I went to economy school there back in the days. Actually, me and Marcus went in the same class back in the day. So, and then, like Nicole was also interested in doing business. I think she went to a good school in Stockholm. So we decided to go keep on doing that. So, you have to do something, I think, after hockey too. I couldn't just retire and not have anything to do. To be honest, also, the last 8 years I was half retired. It's like 45 comeback. So I had a good time to get ready for the business side.
Well, you brought up the name Marcus, and of course, for people who don't know, that's Marcus Naslund. You guys were born 10 days apart in the same town, so came up together in the ranks. And we love starting, where guys grew up and how they got into the game. Your dad was kind of a legendary coach. Was he your coach your entire life growing up? And is he the guy who made you fall in love with hockey? Like, how did that all come about?
Well, it's the city. I think it's just Örnsköldsvik, which is Hedman comes from there. Niklas Sandström, a few Sedin twins, and a bunch of other guys. So kind of what we do there, is we have a good hockey team there, Modo, and then everybody grows up. When you grow up there, you go watch them play. And also you get an opportunity to play. We I think you have 6 rinks. It's 50, 60,000 people. So you get the opportunity to practice, to do the things. And my dad was he was a soccer player and a hockey player, and then he was a coach. He was a coach actually of my brother for the most of when I was growing up. I didn't get him until I was 14, but then I couldn't get rid of him for a few years. I had him in Modo juniors, and then the A team, and then the national team. So I was with him for a few years after that, so maybe 10 years.
Did he push you really hard, or was he very laid back as a coach?
I wouldn't call him laid back. I wouldn't say that. He would yell at me occasionally if I didn't do my job, but I think he treated me like everybody else. So I got yelled at, and if you ask the teammates, he demanded that you did what you were supposed to do, and not only in the games, he was actually pretty hard in practices too. But I wouldn't say overly hard. I wouldn't say that. I think it was fair.
And were you growing up, are you playing other sports? Or in the summer, are the skates going away and you're playing soccer and stuff? Or was it kind of year round for you then even?
No. This is way up in the northern hemisphere. So
I was there.
Okay. So you have to play. You play soccer too. We played. Marcus played on one side of this city, and I played on my side. So I think both of us kind of retired when you have to go to hockey gymnasium when you're 16, and then before that though, that's you played hockey for 6 months and you played soccer for 6. So that's kind of what happened there.
And then you got roped into working at your parents' electrical company. Is that true with Marcus? Those were your summer jobs?
Yeah, that's true. My dad was working there and his mom was working there. So, we had a couple of. Thinking back, I don't know what we were doing. I guess 7 o'clock until 7 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You had to. Horrible to get up that early in the morning and then go to work out after that. So. Maybe it was not the best way to get ready for the season, but I think it was good that you learned that you had to actually work pretty hard occasionally.
What did you have to do there?
Well, we were more making sure that the trees didn't grow up on the electrical cord, in the woods, and clean up. And we didn't do any specific electrical work. I wouldn't say that. We're more maintenance underneath. So, during the winter, the trees wouldn't fall over the electrical, whatever you call it, lines.
So you never got shocked or anything like that? There was no crazy stories of you guys getting electrocuted?
No. We didn't. We're not allowed to do anything of that. No.
I thought maybe that's how you got so nasty on the ice. You got like shocked one summer and all of a sudden you had like the silkiest mitts going.
No, I don't know. I think that was just born with that little kind of short fuse, I would say. Occasionally it happened. I don't think I was born mean. I think it's just happened. Outside of hockey, I really seldom get really mad, but on the ice, I don't know what it was. It's just kind of legal to get mad on the ice occasionally.
Yeah, we mean this as a compliment when we hopped on here. Witt's like, hey, not only was he nasty, but this guy was a prick on the ice.
Well, you cold shouldered me one time in Philly, and I'm still feeling the effects of it. So
the reverse hit.
Actually, the cold shoulder might be most known for that. Like, is that something even as a young kid you kind of realize, like, all right, I'm going to use this guy's momentum and just bury him while I have the puck?
No, I think that came up later, and I think I got rocked in, I think it was World Juniors actually, against a Russian guy. And I'm like, seriously, I should be able to run that guy. And then I'm like, why was that successful? And I was just, for me, when you do one of those, you have to be a little sneaky, you can't just be ready. You got to hide it. And I think that's my specialty, because that's, I was just trying to look at the puck, and maybe you saw him in the back somewhere. You knew he was coming, and then you try still to play with the puck, and then you run him. Try to.
I certainly didn't know that you saw me.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, he doesn't see me.
Yeah,
yeah, and then you always you've stuck him and speared him a little bit before that. He was a little mad too. Then he thought he really is going to run you. Then it really worked even better, I would say.
That's how you bait him in. Yeah, you stick him in the nuts about a couple shifts beforehand, and he's coming.
Exactly.
That's so good.
Exactly. That's when it works the best.
I was looking online. So who gave you your nickname? And is it pronounced Fopa?
Yeah, Fopa. Yeah, no. I don't know. I think it was the media that just gave me Fopa. It was a football player against soccer player in an hour south of where I'm from, and he was played in the highest division. He was called Little Fopa. And then when I came in, and his last name was Forsberg. I think that's just comes from Forsberg. So that's why I ended up, everybody was calling me Fopa after that, at least in Sweden.
Did you enjoy it at first, or were you like, what?
To be honest, I hated to be called Peter when I grew up. I thought I was a little stiff to be getting called Peter. So I think actually
Peter.
Fopa was actually better than Peter. Yeah. So I was fine with it.
Your hometown, you guys only had 4 hours of sun a day during the wintertime? The sun would come up at 10 in the morning and go down at 2 in the afternoon. How much hockey would you just play during an average day in the winter?
No, it depends when it was, how cold it was, but yeah, you had if you're in the rink, you had practice, but then you also could skate at the school, or we played on the street outside. One of those classic story where the bus came and we had to move the nets and then move the bus. Even if it was a close game, the bus had to wait for 30 seconds until the game finished and other kind of stuff. But I would say we were playing, I don't know, on the weekends, like 6 or 7 hours a day, even wherever we was. And I think that's, we became pretty good about reading the play and knowing the play. Maybe not the most skilled guys, but we were always playing and having fun on the street.
When you're, an early teenager, are you late 80s? Are you into the NHL? Or are you more into the Swedish league? Like, are you dreaming of playing in the NHL and following it as much as you could? Or back then, was it even possible in Sweden?
No, you couldn't really watch it. The live feeds was not often you got to watch NHL games, I would say. I don't know if I watched the game until 90s at all, almost. And my goal was playing, since I grew up in Modo, that was my Marcus is, he, like some other kids from that area they're not Modo kids, you could be on another suburb, but I grew up in Modo. That was my team since I was 5. And that's where I wanted to play when I got older. I had I didn't even look at NHL, to be honest. I don't think I ever was going to be good enough. And I was pretty small when I only ate pancakes and cinnamon rolls when I grew up. So I didn't have a muscle. So for me to play in NHL, that was just a little too far. So my goal was to play in Modo in the highest division there.
Heading into the draft, the 91 draft, a lot of North American scouts had you pegged for the second round. What did you have for expectations, or did you even have expectations going into that draft?
No, not really. It was pretty early in my career. I wasn't that great. And I wouldn't say I was, came up in the Swedish motor there, but I wasn't doing a damage or anything. So I didn't think I was going to pick that high, and I didn't really care either. Of course, it's great to be picked high, but on the other hand, there was more expectations, and I was a shy kid. I didn't want any expectations. I just want to be okay. I get drafted, but then we got over there, and Don Basley was my agent. Like, you might get picked pretty high. There was some talks about moving up to 11, 12 or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty early. And I knew Philly was interested, and they were trying to trade down, if I remember this right. But then I had no clue I was going to get picked at number 6. That was a total shock for me, I would say. But definitely, like you said, it was going to be beginning of the second round or at the best.
And because you were maybe, I don't know, undersized or just younger, and was it ever a thought of going over to the NHL? You see, I think you played 3 more full seasons in Sweden before you went over. So was that kind of just in the plan the whole time? I'm not going to rush to get over there. Or did you just really want to stay in Sweden? How did it come about not leaving for North America quite so soon?
Yeah, it was not really a plan. Like, okay, I'm going to develop better in Sweden. It was not like that. I think it was just I was not mature and ready to go over. Philly offered me a contract I think it was 92 in the World Championships, to come over. I'm like, not a chance, I'm staying home with Moto. And then I actually signed, I think 93. And then I even got to stay home another year because I didn't really want to go over. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was just home, loved my hometown. I had a good time. It was fun. It was just no need for me to rush. And then all of a sudden the day came and I had to get on the flight to fly over to play for Quebec. And I didn't like it. I'm like, I hate, why do I do this to myself? We just want to be home and play in my hometown. And after a couple of months in Quebec, I enjoyed it over there. I loved it over there. I got new friends, but I was not into too many changes and really, like I said, enjoyed being home.
Was it a massive pay upgrade from going from Moto over to Quebec?
Yeah, I would say it was. I was signed. In Sweden it was 40 million. It's I think it's like 6 million US dollars. And yeah, I remember because the opposition teams were chanting 40 million for nothing. That was their chance at the game. So. It was definitely an upgrade. To be honest, without the money, I don't know if I would have. There would be no need for me to move. But also, because there's more money in NHL, all the best players were there. If you're going to take the step one day, I guess that's where you're going to have to be.
Well, not only that, too. You probably spoke a little bit of English at the time, I'm assuming, but then going somewhere like French speaking. Was that just a massive culture shock for you? Not only like not maybe wanting to go originally and then having to go somewhere where you can't speak the language?
It made it a little harder, I would say. But it was also, I'm at Dead Marsh and a few other guys there, Nolan, Ricci, Foot. They had a good young group in Quebec, so that helped out. Plus, it was not the biggest city in the world. Quebec was, and it's cold. It got snow, so at least when I woke up in the morning, I felt like home. But it was hard to watch the news and all that, a little by myself, except with the teammates. So, but I would say it was a good step for me to come to Quebec. It was, you compare Quebec to my hometown. Everybody loved hockey, cold, and that's kind of what you do. You live for the games, and to be honest, it was easy for me too because we had such a good team. When I came there, I think we're 19-4-1. We lost one game, home game. If you look at the home games, it's only 48 games. So for me, made it so much easier. It came from, and Quebec had been so bad. And then I came there and made it easier. Of course, doesn't really matter what language you speak as long as you win, to be honest. That really helps. So
that was a half lockout year too. So at least you got to dip your toe in and it wasn't like a full season. So you weren't like stuck there as long as you normally would have been.
I agree. I wouldn't call it stuck in Quebec. Like I said, I enjoyed it. And then we got knocked out the first round against the Rangers. But yeah, I agree. There was not the longest season ever. And then obviously we got sold the whole organization down to Denver next year. And then we got to play the whole year. But yeah, that was probably good that it was not the full year the first year.
I got to ask about 1994, the Olympics. You became this international hockey legend with the shootout winner. But leading up to that, you mentioned Naslund and how close you guys were. He actually went over to North America that 93-94 season, so he didn't get to play on that team, and you stayed back. Was that like hard for you guys? Was he just ready to make the jump, and he probably knew that meant he wasn't going to be on that Olympic team with you, right?
No, he was ready. He was much more mature when we were that age, so he was ready to go over. He, I would say, dominated in practices in the league when he left. So I don't think I wasn't that good. I would say people probably say I was okay, but he was ready to take the step. And I don't know if it's only at the Olympics I stayed home. I would say it helped out. That was they came up that year in '94, it just to be honest, it was more like I didn't want to leave my hometown. wanted the Swedish meatballs for another year.
I think we got to go back to the trade. I mean, one of the biggest in NHL history. We sort of follow in the Lindros saga from afar, where you just kind of doing your own thing. Did you have any preference or where you ended up?
No, not really. I mean, it's a lot of things that happen. We got all suddenly we had a really good team, and they've been drafted first. Sandin first, and then Nolan, and then Lindros. So. And then they had Sakic, and like I said, with the foots and the reaches and the ones they had. So, people said, well, it's going to be tough to go to Quebec. They've been so bad for so long. But on the other hand, like if you can keep this team together, I remember they saying that if you can keep the team together, you're going to have a good group. You're going to have a good team. And then we got sold the next year, which worked out great. If the Quebec Nordiques couldn't pay the salaries that the Avalanche could. So unbelievable, perfect match. If you looked, so bad for so long and then came to a team that could pay the salaries and even get more people in. We got Borke there for a while, we got Blakey, we got brought in Lemieux, we got brought in Roy. Maybe that wouldn't happen. Probably not Roy. I don't know if he would have gone to Quebec, even, Keane either when that trade happened with Montreal. So it was really lucky for us and for me that I ended up in Quebec. But yeah, when it happened, you didn't know it was going to be that good.
Oh, I was going to ask about Mark Crawford, your coach. Had you ever experienced a coach that was that intense? Because you hear stories about how sometimes you would blow a gasket on guys and just how demanding he was.
Yeah, I know he was pretty demanding. And to be honest, I think it was good. We had a young group. I think we learned to work hard. So he couldn't cheat either. He was pretty tough. A couple of funny stories with him there. he gives some shit to some players or me. And so, but I think, to be honest, he demanded that you played hard. You can discuss maybe the ways occasionally, but back in the days it was kind of okay. You just went with it, and I think we got better as a group, because I think it was pretty tough.
Which just mentioned the '94 Olympics, of course, the goal against Corey Hirsch to steal the gold medal. Had you ever tried that move in a game before? Was that the first time you dusted it off for a game?
No, I tried it in the Swedish league a couple of months earlier. Of course, I missed.
That takes a big set of balls to then pull it out in the gold medal game.
Yeah,
exactly. It didn't work last time, so I'm gonna pull it out absolutely when it counts. But I was just a horrible penalty shooter back then, and I couldn't do any other move. I had like 5-hole on that one, and I guess it couldn't work out any better than it did.
Was that the first time where maybe you'd gone around Sweden and you were getting noticed by people? Like, did your fame significantly rise after that goal?
A little bit, but I won. I won the world championship 2 years earlier when I was 18, and then me and Marcus was running around in the Swedish league there in '93, and made some headlines. And no, I think. Yeah, it helped out, but if you knew hockey, I think you kind of knew who I was before that. And then after that too, we ended up in the Swedish final there, and I kind of embarrassed myself after the loss in the final. I actually said that I was going to beat up the referee after we lost it finally. I was going to punch him, so it didn't really help out either to stay incognito there in Sweden after that.
Did you get fined for that one? Did they come down with a hard penalty?
No, I got no fine. I got nothing for it. No, but I don't know. I think they blamed the camera guy or the interview guy that showed up with a mic 30 seconds after the game. So
yeah,
nobody really blamed me, which is good.
They still play the audio.
5 minutes to cool off, guys.
Exactly.
Don't they still play the audio during some games in this current day, like the audio from that clip?
No, I don't know if they do it, but a few dads of the kids. I have some of my own kids in Sweden. They come up and they remember that actually the clip that I was gonna beat up, try to punch the ref, but. I think if you look at it, you can see that I had passion for the game at least. I think that's what people say when they come up. I understand them. The ref wasn't that bad, but we can see you were pretty crazy after that. They actually liked to win.
When did you guys find out that you'd be moving to Colorado? Was it like during that rookie season? Was it after? Like, when did you guys know and realize, all right, this is it? And then I guess we're going to Denver, where nobody knew anything about that area, I'm guessing.
Well, to be honest, I flew home to Sweden after we lost to the Rangers, and I was not really involved with all the negotiations. It wasn't that close. I didn't live over there, so I just got a phone call in the middle of the summer there, and we heard the rumors was maybe Austin, Houston, maybe Phoenix, or I don't know if Phoenix was in, but and then it ended up being Denver. So I just got a phone call. I didn't follow the news that much where we're going to end up. For me, I had never been to Denver, never been to Houston or anything. So it was just me. Okay, we'll go to state somewhere. I had no clue.
You guys started out pretty good that year, 16-7-4. Then Pierre Lacroix turns on, gets Patrick Roy. Did the team almost think it was a joke that you guys were able to get Patrick Roy out of the blue like that?
Yeah, there was obviously know that story too. We didn't have a clue until he got really mad. And when we talked to some, if I talked to my teammates, then I think Pierre had Patrick as a client before, so we kind of knew maybe it's a little chance there we're going to get him, and ended up getting Patrick and also Mike Keane. I think he meant a lot for us too when he came over. He was a pretty demanding guy and played hard on the ice, and was kind of a good leader too. So I think it was really good trade for us. If you looked at the team before that got knocked out against the Rangers, we added some leadership and with Claude Lemieux there, we went for Wendell Clark, and then we added Patrick and Keener. So I think maybe I would say Lacroix knew kind of what we wanted, what we needed to go all the way.
Was the team already thinking Cup before you got War, or did that really solidify it after you got him?
It took another step when you add these guys. They bring another element to winning, I would say. I don't know say put any fingers in between there. I mean, they do everything to win, and so they definitely added some attitude and atmosphere in the dressing room, and that we could go all the way. I mean, they had won before, and then they knew what it took, and then I think they really helped our younger group know what it takes to win. Yeah.
Had you ever seen a goalie with that much intensity before? And there's also stories of like him like helping and teaching guys where structure wise, where to be in D zone. And that was eventually what ended up like elevating you guys to that level.
Yeah. It's yeah. Hey, you think it's just the guy, he's just stand behind in the net there and just save this puck, but he had a lot different view of everything. He makes sure. I don't know if I told the story, but one year in the playoffs, we got knocked out, I think 99 against Dallas, and the next year I was gonna, because I was running out of gas, and when we played the last couple of games, I was had to have an IV because I was fainting after one game. I was just running out of. It was hard to play in Dallas, so I was going to take it easy against San Jose. We won the first two games, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take it easy to save some energy. And then we lost the next two games, and I can remember Hartley coming in the dressing room and asking hey guys, why are we losing? And Patrick just stood up and just pointing at me like that's his fault, like that. He's not even trying. And I didn't even think it would, anybody can tell, but he had full control. I think he saw everything, and I had to stand up. I apologize that I last year I was, game 6 and 7, I was out of gas, so I was gonna save it for the semifinals. And he's like, "There's no saving at all." And okay, I get it. Let's play hard the next game. And then we actually won 4-2. So I had a goal and 2 assists the next game. So, but he could tell who's playing hard and not hard, and how people were playing on the ice and how so. Definitely, he added that too. That the players on the ice had to do your best every single game. Either that guy's going to be all over you. And it's not only saving pucks; he's got to get control of the team too.
Were you waiting for him to let in a softie and be like, "Hey, wake the fuck up back there, buddy"?
Oh yeah, no, you try that. I'm not going to try that.
That's how tapped this guy is.
Yeah, no, I'd be very careful to say that.
Sorry, Whit.
No, I was going to say, I thought he would just threaten to kill people for maybe looking at his helmet, but I didn't know he'd call out Hall of Famers too to wake the fuck up. So I guess he did do it all. But I had to ask you, when you came over to Quebec, I think Sakic had played like 6 seasons already and already become a superstar. Did he take you under his wing? Was he a guy who kind of really learned a lot about the NHL game from?
for me to end up with him, I think it was the best combination that could ever be. He helped me. You can say, if somebody's coming in from Sweden, it's taking ice time, power play, but nothing I would say that I remember that was, he was jealous or somebody else coming in. He was just, thank God, maybe this guy's going to help us win. I think that's when I think back with Joe, what I admire him most about that, he wanted to win, and he didn't care. It was him or somebody else that made the team win. So never any hard discussions with him or nothing. We just both wanted to win the game. So I would say he helped me out, definitely the first couple of years. So it was great.
When you guys moved over, right, that your second season, well, you get Claude Lemieux, and he just won the Stanley Cup in Jersey. What's your first memories of meeting him in training camp? And I believe during your cup run that season, you guys played on the same line, right?
Occasionally, he got suspended a few games, but most of the games we played together. No, for sure. He was. I knew he played really well, but I also know he was known for a few dirty shots. So I'm like, if we're gonna play with this guy, people's gonna try to run us and murder us every game here. I don't know if that's gonna work out, but he was a fierce competitive, I would say. He left everything on the ice every single night. So and he also demanded on that you played well and played good every single game. So no, I enjoyed playing with him. He was not shy to put his nose in front of net and put the pucks in. And when I think back, I don't think I knew anybody that cheered more than him when he scored. Like, he was really happy when he scored. That's a funny thing, yeah.
Can't think of Claude without thinking of the Detroit Red Wings. Were you ever part of a rivalry that had that much hatred to it, Peter?
No, that's never been part of anything like that ever before or after. That was
him and his summer job, RA.
Yeah.
2-3 years there was tough. It was tough for me. I mean, they had 6 or 7 Swedes, and they were running around. Like, remember getting on the flight 98? I was flying with the Detroit guys to Nagano. I'm like, hey guys, what's up?
Yeah,
and then
this is awkward.
That was very awkward. Yeah, I would say. Maybe that's why we lost in the quarters too, in the Nagano games. Yeah.
Yeah, because as big as a prick as you were on the ice, I believe you only got in one NHL fight in your entire career, and it was Martin Lapointe.
I don't know. I don't know if it's really a fight, but yeah, we threw 1 or 2 punches, but we didn't drop the gloves. I think we had kept the gloves on, but he hit hard. I would say I was actually surprised he hit hard. But I think in preseason I fought Avery. We both dropped the gloves, and so that's didn't count on the NHL stats, but that one didn't end up for good for me either. I think I actually hit him, but then my teammates were screaming, or everybody screaming, help him, and then I got help from my rest of my teammates. So.
That's crazy that was the one fight you got, and it was in preseason. I'm sure that him chirping and him getting him lipping off had something to do with it in order to get under your skin for you to even consider it.
Well, it was I mean, like, we were in Vegas. I'm like, come on, leave us. We could just enjoy playing the game and go out after the game. Like, why do we have to be so intense in the game? And he was all over. It was sort of a funny story too, because I was in the hallway there, and one of the defensemen, I said, my teammates, he goes, just start with Avery, double kill him for you. So I started, but then Lapriere jumped my defensive partner. Then I got stuck with Avery. So that's why it ended up. That's why I tried to start it with him. But yeah,
like, somebody's supposed to come in.
Yeah. Where's my guy?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody helped me, but then I guess somebody yelled from the bench to help him, and then I got help. So, but he didn't really hit me, so I got away from first scrap with not any blue marks or nothing.
The crazy fight night versus Detroit. I mean, the spark plug for that was probably you and Igor Larionov, two unlikely guys. I don't think you got a fight major for it, but that was sort of not the trigger for it, but that kind of got the ball rolling a bit that night.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about it, but who thought that I was going to wrestling Larionov, and I didn't have a clue either. Larionov played with McCarthy or Shanahan was going to be on the ice at the same time. So it's just me being in the game, not thinking about what could happen. There had been so much talks about what was going to happen back and forth, and then no, I didn't think about it. Then we start wrestling, and all of a sudden, when the wrestling game is over, it's like, what's going on here? I'm like, oops, sorry, Claude. Didn't think about it.
After your first Stanley Cup win, what did you do with your day with the cup? Did you have it over in Sweden? What was the day all about?
Yeah, it was kind of so when I got the cup because we had the World Cup. We went the last game, Florida was in June sometime, and then we had the World Cup, and I got to celebrate it. And then 2 days later, we had Germany in the World Cup. So I kind of a bad timing to get the cup, I would say, because you don't want to be, you actually want to be behaving when you play against Germany. You try to be able to back check a little bit at least. So it's kind of a quiet night with the cup.
Was that easily the most grueling experience of your career, like going through 4 rounds like that? Because I know the year before you said you guys got bounced in the first round when you were in Quebec. Like, was there anything that could have prepared you for that run?
No, that was a tough run. I think we also stayed in the hotel the whole way, and it felt like 8 months. Those 2 months you went through all that, but I would say we didn't think about that. I remember me and Deadmarsh looked at Claude brought the ring there one pretty early, and when we ate there before in the playoffs, and you're like, we want that thing. Like we don't think about anything. We want that ring. We want the cup. And the first year, I would say it's all happiness, even if you stay in the hotel. I would say the next year when you got in the room and stayed another month and a half, and it's like, oh, a little long. But the first year, I would say it was just you just had one goal, and this was to win the cup.
And then after you guys did get that cup, I mean, the next few years, a couple losses to Detroit and Dallas, but then Ray Bourque's on the team for his first full season there. You get Rob Blake, and you guys end up going on to win. But for you played with was it your spleen, and you didn't even know it was ruptured in Game 7 of the second round? Like, how did you figure out that was the issue? Was it even in question of you playing in a couple of those games when you did get injured? How did that all happen?
I don't think I knew before. After Game 7, we got knocked out LA, I think, in Game 7 at home. I was just at the restaurant, and all suddenly it was starting to hurt, especially the whole left side. And then I called the trainer, and the trainer said the worst thing it could ever be is you ruptured your spleen. I'm like, okay. But then you go into the hospital and you walk in. I'm maybe it's not that bad. You just get out of here. And then like an hour later, it's like 1.7 liters of blood in your body there, and then you almost died. So it went pretty fast, I would say. But nothing that I knew in the game that it hurt. It just started bothering me maybe an hour and a half after the game. I don't know why, but I guess it was just a tiny opening before that, and then the floodgates opened there right after the game. But I was lucky. I remember asking the doctor there, they're like, am I gonna survive? Yeah, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna live a normal life afterwards. And the next question, like, can I play anymore in the playoffs? He said no, and then got a little sad. I didn't really care about the surgery. I just was sad that I couldn't play anything the rest of the playoffs. But everything went fine. I had the best doctors, and right now I'm fine.
And I think that leads into one of the most legendary stories, which is the following year. And with all the injuries you'd kind of accumulated throughout that season, you took the whole regular season off, followed by leading the playoffs in scoring. So when did the team decide that you were just going to be shut down for that whole regular season?
No, that was my own, because I had such a problem with my feet and the bursa sacks, and they were hurting so bad. And then I think it was also a combination, lost the spleen and almost died. And I was like, I did the surgery on my foot that year and took away the bursa sacks because I barely got them in the skates. And then they came back for when I start practicing for the camp, and I'm like, I can't go through another year hurting so much in my feet, and then the spleen and everything. I don't think I was ready. So I decided just to tell the team, like, don't pay me. I just go home, and I'm gonna come back when I'm ready. And then I came back in January, and I had an infection from the surgery there, and they kind of ate up my tendon. So I had to do, as soon as I got back to Denver, I had to have a surgery on my tendon there for the rest of the year. So that's why I missed all 11 months. And it was really close, I would say, not making the playoffs too. But I remember, it's kind of funny. I had 1 2-on-1 as a only contact drill before they throw me in the playoffs. And they're like, here you go, you can start playing. I'm like, okay, let's get it going. And I got thrown in first game against LA, and I guess it worked out. I was in good shape. I had worked out for for 10 months straight. So I was in good shape.
Okay, so despite the injury and the bursa sac stuff, you were still able to like keep your conditioning up. And I was going to ask, like, you offered not to be paid. Did they still end up paying you, given everything you'd done for the organization?
Okay, sounds good, Pete.
Yeah.
No, I said, don't pay me. I just want to take my time because, I did the bursa sac. That's such a problem. It's hurting every single day. When I put practices, I'm like, I have to take my time. You can't, force me to, and I want to be under any pressure. You just don't pay me. Just stupid. The worst thing, it was my highest year paying too. So it was bad timing for me personally, but I guess my economy studies didn't work out for that one, but at least I got to take my time.
Hey, well, good thing the Crocs thing ended up working out. And I kind of want to throw it over you because I don't want to spoil it, but you were an early investor into Crocs, the silly shoes that guys wear around in the locker room. And I guess
every nurse wears in every hospital in the world.
I think it was more like a boating shoe. I think that's what I heard when they came up. And there was a couple of friends from Boulder that was really early investors in that. And then they said, if we're going to make it, if it booms here everywhere in the United States, you're going to help us out in Scandinavia. And that's what happened because I had the foot problems and I had the foot guy that took care of me, and he had a couple of stores. So I'm like, could you help me with this? We started Crocs, and we made a budget selling maybe 5,000 shoes, and then I'm selling about 500,000 the next year. So it was kind of funny how it ended up, and that's how we got into shoes, and that's why we're still in shoes too with the Crocs. So
this was just a local friend of yours, and he was from Boulder, Colorado, and because I think when I heard the story, he somebody said that the guy brought him into the locker room and put him in the dressing room. And everybody was looking at him being like, yeah, no, this.
What are those?
What are those?
Exactly. Well, that was before. I think they were white at least. When they got yellow and blue and all bad colors, and then they got really ripped in the Swedish media. Like I brought the worst shoes ever to sell in Sweden, but especially when you mix the blue and the yellow, they look horrible. But yeah, that's kind of his name was Tom Duran. Actually, he helped us with a few other things. We sold the skate sharpening machine. He helped us there too, and then we decided to help him out with the Crocs selling in Scandinavia, and it worked out great.
So you still currently own the rights of distributing Crocs in all of Scandinavia?
No, we do that in Wiki now. We upgraded. The shoes are really beautiful nowadays, so we upgraded.
That's amazing.
I want to go into the foot issues you mentioned. Was that the first year that those kind of started in that run? When you guys won in 2001 and you had to miss the time, when did all of the foot issues begin? Did they go back to when you were younger? I've always been curious as to how that all started.
No, that's not what had happened. I think it started. I'm not really sure about the year, but I think it was 2003. My best year then, I played really well in the regular season, and then maybe one game before the playoffs, it didn't work. So it didn't. So what happens is the foot doesn't stick in the skate. I lose the balance all the time. So, but it was more like one game to another. The weirdest thing, and maybe a trauma or whatever it was. But I had maybe 10 or 12 surgeries afterwards and never got fixed. So still have the same problem as today.
I had some serious foot issues as well. One of my surgeons was Dr. Anderson in North Carolina. Did you see him for some of yours?
Yeah, no, he cut my heel off and moved it in, and we decided. I actually found out that was not the problem, so we cut the heel off again and moved it back. So,
Jesus,
kind of it's just those are painful surgery too. I tried him too. We tried that too. It was not only his idea. I wanted to do it. Just didn't want to do it really permanent that would hurt me for the rest of my life, just walking and doing things. So tried a different few things, but I guess nope, nothing worked.
So you're not in pain walking or anything. It's just in terms of skating.
I would say in terms of skating. Somehow I lose the balance when I can. For a while I almost could tie it up, and then I could twist and turn and maybe almost lift the foot out of the skate. It was the weirdest thing. I can could almost pull it in to go from a size 8 to a size 6 with it, so that's why I didn't really stick in the skate, because then all of a sudden I had a lot of room in the boot. So but. I'm okay with it now. I have to say it was a few frustrating year. So many surgeries, so many weird things going on there. So I guess it didn't work.
Even to the point where didn't they have like a electricity pack?
Yeah.
And they had to like build it into your skate. And like, what was the purpose of that? Was it to try to distract the pain?
No, not to distract the pain. It was more like like I said, I could shrink the foot, but if I had the electrical, if the muscle was on all the time, I couldn't shrink the foot. So that's why I had it on. So the muscle would be, I don't know what to call it, like totally back in the electrical work, and you can see I didn't work at the electrical either. But it made the muscle like whatever strained the whole time, like hard all the time. So I couldn't move the foot. That's kind of the reason why I used that one. I tried so many things. Believe me, I tried every little thing that you could possibly do. I tried to put it in a cast. I tried, I would say, everything in that foot. 4,000 things, but nothing worked.
And honestly, I know what you mean. I was doing the same exact thing. And I think it's so exhausting to keep having to try things and then they don't work. For me, at least, I was just like, this is mentally crushing me more than physically in a way.
Well, yeah, it was always a battle. I try to keep the skates cold because the harder that it were, they were easy to skate. But I would say that the hardest part was I knew the left foot and I knew I could play and I knew when I was good. And some games and I'm like, this is going to be tough. And you're going to go into sold out building. You're going to get Hatcher chasing you, try to kill you. And then it's like, oh, I can't even hold my balance. So to be honest, the last couple of years, kind of first surviving the two first periods, and then it was close. And then you get going in the last because then nobody had the time to chase you down. And I even retired in the game in Philly. I said, this is it. I can't skate. I can't do anything about this. I hate it. We had a meeting after first period, me and Gagne, and Stevens was the coach. I'm like, I'm retiring. I can't move.
Come on.
And then I tipped one in and I had an assist. We beat Pittsburgh 3-2. I'm like, I think I got first or second star. I'm like, I can't retire. This is not work. So it was kind of back and forth, struggling. But I would say the hardest part is like you knew you couldn't do the best out there, even for your teammates, and then people in the stands watching, like try to play harder, play tougher, but I just couldn't. You couldn't keep the balance.
You just mentioned a couple guys from Philly, Pete. I want to go back to that. The 2005 lockout led to the salary cap, which led to your departure from the Avalanche. How did you end up settling on Philadelphia as the team to sign?
Well, I was close to Boston first, and then we didn't have any room with the Avalanche because we had way too many players, and they got cut down. So me and Foot, I was okay trying something new too. And then almost Boston, and then ended up in Philly. I think Philly actually. Think about how people play there when they get liked. I think it would actually fit my playing style. I think the Flyers fans, they want you to play physical, they want you to be involved, and I think that actually fit my style. So that's kind of when I end up in with the Flyers with Bobby Clark and how he played, and I thought that would be a good fit for me.
Was there any animosity with the Avs, given your history with the team, and did you feel like they maybe picked other guys over you, or was everything kind of kosher?
No, I was totally fine with that. No, didn't argue with that. I had a good talk with Pierre. He really wanted me to come back and play for the Avs, but he just didn't fit in the salary cap, and I have no problem with them taking that decision. And to be honest, that. The way I played in the lockout, and it started the foot problem, and I did a few surgeries before I came back to Philly too to try to get it fixed because I thought maybe the doctor said it was going to be fine. So, and I didn't play as bad in Philly either, but I think I had 75 points in 60 games, even have the foot problem. So I think it's kind of okay. But back to that with the Avalanche, I didn't see it as that they wanted to throw me out there. I mean, I had good talks with Pierre and with Kroenke and everybody, so they were really nice to me afterwards too. So
in Philly, you had 75 points in 60 games and put your shoulder through the Wit Dog's nose. So yeah, I think you did all right.
Yeah.
Do you with your kids now, do they play hockey? Are you getting them into the game in Switzerland?
Yeah, they play in the EVZ here, the SUG team, with the young guys here. So yeah, though they're out there. The older one, I think he maybe like soccer better than hockey, but I'll see if I can get him in the right direction here. So,
do you guys still spend time in the summers in America, or are you kind of there all year?
No, we're here, and then I go back to Sweden in the summers, back in my hometown.
Okay.
We have a summer cabin up there, so we go back in, I would say, July, August. I go to the States, I would say, in the fall and in the winter to watch when it's NHL games at the same time. I think that's when I head over there. I was just in Denver, and it's actually Nashville when the games got canceled. I was supposed to go see 2 games, and they got canceled in Nashville for the water leak. So I guess I have to go back here soon to see if I can watch some games. It was kind of sad. Yeah, fly over to watch some games, and then both games got canceled. They were going to play the Avalanche on Friday morning, the Thanksgiving day, the day after, and then it got canceled.
I just wanted to ask you, like, obviously with the career you had and how talented you were, I'm sure it was a relief to retire because you didn't have to deal with the pain, but like, how was it emotionally and mentally at the fact that you probably felt that you had so much more to give, but due to the injuries, you had to retire early?
It's so hard. And that's why I kind of didn't want to get up. I battled this problem for 7 years, I would say. And I always wanted to try as much as I probably could to fix it, but I tried everything, and I'm glad I did that. At least it's not like I just gave up and said, "Oh, I didn't try hard enough." So I was actually kind of happy that I did everything I could, and I couldn't get back and get it fixed. And to be honest, I'm actually happy that I got to play in winning teams before I was 30. That could win the couple of championships. I actually won with the foot problem in the Olympics 06 with Lidstrom and Sandin and a few other guys. So. I had a good career, can't complain too much, but it was very frustrating when you know you can play good and then somebody that's barely having his skills outplay on the ice. That's very frustrating, I would say.
Well, I mean, because like you were asked, like, what's the hardest thing about not playing? And you said no more winning, right? Like that's how competitive you were. So were you able to find that competition away from the rink anywhere else? Like, did you maybe take up golf? Like what did you do in order to try to get that competition back in your life?
No, well, when I retired at 11. Before that, I tried everything. I was rehabbing, getting on the bike and trying to get ready, and then started following a little business on the side. But I would say during that time, I was always focused to come back and play. And after that, it's when the career is over. I have a hard time finding the same, but I think it's also good that I don't have to be competing in everything. I did actually a few competitions on TV here in Sweden and in different sports against different athletes. So I got to do a few other things. Done that for every other year for, a total of 8 years. So I got to compete a little bit afterwards. But
what was the game show? Like, what were you doing?
Well, it's different athletes. It could be a cross country or downhill or a high jumper, but you bring in all the athletes and you compete in different sports. It could be swimming, could be doing puzzles, it could be lifting as many things at the same time or holding your balance. It could be anything actually. So it's a different sports, and so you get different athletes. It's pretty popular in the Swedish TV, so I decided to do it for a few years.
Well, speaking of television, you actually ended up doing something with the Trailer Park Boys at one point.
Yeah, I thought it was a funny thing. I heard they're pretty popular over there, and I was just going to shoot a couple of slap shots, and yeah. We had a fun day when we were recording, so it was good.
Did you have any idea what the Trailer Park Boys were? Like, was that a show that you were watching when you would go on road trips and stuff?
No, I never watched it before. And then I had to, of course, research it before I was on it. But then I found out that it's actually a popular show. And,
oh, yeah.
And I think it would actually fit with the thing I was going to do is going to fit pretty well into that story. So it worked out great.
What maybe Bubbles was the guy who made you get those glasses you have on right now. Those are very similar to the ones that Bubbles wears.
Okay. Maybe I don't remember exactly. I think wasn't he wearing a helmet? Maybe he didn't wear a helmet.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he had it all on. He was a big cat guy too. Big cat guy.
We can't thank you enough. I know this World Cup finals starting, so we're gonna have to let you go. But this has just been an honor talking to you. Yeah. What a career, and we really appreciate you joining the show.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's and congrats, you're doing a good job. I hear about you guys all the time over here, so that's great. And let's see who wins the World Cup, and take care.
We're
And I know
making a
you got-
Euro trip out there, so maybe
Yeah.
we'll connect in person.
And you're part owner in a golf course, so maybe we can get a sandbagger.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen those videos that we do. We'll talk about getting those competitive juices flowing again, buddy. Maybe you and Marcus Naslin versus me and Witt.
Oh, well, no, I don't. Marcus is awful.
Perfect.
All right, Peter.
Thanks so
See you
much,
later.
Pete. That was awesome.
Perfect. Take care.
That interview was also brought to you by Omega Accounting. Attention small business owners. You may be eligible to receive up to $26,000 per employee through the Employee Retention Credit. Omega Accountant Solutions can help you recover payroll tax overpayments and determine if you are eligible to receive up to $26,000 per employee. All it takes is a quick, easy, and free 10-minute consultation to determine if you qualify. Omega is the small business champion with teams dedicated to maximum tax credits. CPAs even turn to Omega for ERC guidance. Take advantage of this exclusive small business tax credit now. The 3-year sunset deadline for filing begins to close March 31st, 2023, so learn if you qualify today. Call 800-300-9ERC. That's 800-300-9ERC. 800-300-9ERC or visit OmegaTaxCredit.com/Barstool Sports now. Man, huge thanks to Peter Forsberg joining us. Biz 7 o'clock for you, 9 o'clock Eastern time. He was over in Switzerland. Just it was one of those ones I don't get nervous too often these days, but I was up early that morning drinking the coffee, kind of had a little stomach anxiety going. I mean, goddamn Peter Forsberg. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. It was an absolute honor and a pleasure to talk to him. So
I was gonna say I wish I could have went a little bit longer, but we were cutting into the World Cup. At least
Yeah.
the
And
start of it.
and if people are mad at me for kind of ending it before the interview started, he kind of mentioned, game starts at 10 o'clock. Like, so we were well aware that he wanted to be watching that game. It was like 10:02. Biz asked a couple more. I'm like, oh boy, we want to try to set up a little in-person European interview with Peter sometime. So we let him go quick, but just thinking back to how he played. And I think now that he's been passed by McDavid, 5th all time in assists per game, played on the edge like you wouldn't believe. I mentioned the cold shoulder I took. There's probably 500 other guys who played in the league that dealt with it. Just such a joy to watch growing up. And in the peak years of watching hockey at 12 years old, like that was the guy, or at least one of them. So it was amazing to talk to him.
I know we talked about it a little bit. It just sucks that the hockey world was deprived of not seeing him longer through his dominant years with the foot situation. And you know, Whit, you talked about it. You went through it too, and it's just a mental fucking grind. And to hear that he tried absolutely everything and he left it all on the line, and he's at peace with it all was pretty cool. It's just such a shame for the hockey world to have not seen him dominate the way that he did for longer.
The surgery I had is called an osteotomy of the first metatarsal. I had it on both feet. They basically cut like a pizza shaped piece of your bone out of the top of your foot, which then for me lowered my arch. Just crazy, pretty much foot reconstruction. He ended up, like he mentioned, cutting the heel, and it's like the rehab I went through in the front of the foot, add that times 10 when you're dealing with the heel. And so it's just so amazing to see what he went through. But like, I'm a complete pigeon. That's a Hall of Fame great. But just to know the foot stuff and not being able to be on your edge and skate the way you once did, it is truly mentally exhausting and torturous. So to hear him kind of talk about it kind of brings to light what he went through and trying to give it a go.
Yeah, buddy, I broke my big toe one time and I felt that I was fucking for 6 weeks. I was the biggest bitch. I couldn't even imagine having to try to go through your full career the way that he did. So the feet and the boots, man, just because it's so stiff and it's so cold. And the minute you get whacked or a puck hits your foot, it just spirals out of control with the pain. So
I was having like flashbacks when he mentioned about how the harder the skate was, the better it was. So in terms of he tried to keep them really cold, same for me. Like I almost could have used new skates every 3 games, which is impossible. It's just, it sucked. And then to like have me do it, yeah, whatever, see you later, Whit. But to have a guy that like every fan's paying to see in the building, there's probably another pressure in his mind of people are paying to watch me and I just can't do what I want to do. And last thing before we move on, going through his numbers as the interview was going on and preparing, like the years he couldn't even skate or play in quotations, he was a point per game. It's like,
stupid.
Holy shit. So what a player. And we thank him very much. Foppa.
Him thinking about retiring and he's like, I got 1 and 1. I guess I can't.
Yeah. It's so good. I was telling my boys last night. They all, everyone's face was shocked. Like, yeah, man, it's you get a legend like that. It's awesome. 9th all time in points per game too. I mean, you think of the esteemed history of the league, man. He's right up there. So hopefully, again, everybody enjoyed the interview. Meanwhile, the team he made his bones with, the defending Cup champs, currently the second wild card team in the West. They got whacked with the injury bug real bad. They lost 4 in a row. They righted the ship a little bit, but the misses Landeskog, Manson, McKinnon, all hurt. Mikko Rantanen, man, this boy is carrying them. 38 points in 29 games played. Of course, they're missing Kadri, Kempa, Burakovsky. They all lost to free agency. Let's see. Biz, do they get through the stretch? Are they going to make the playoffs this year? Is this a little bump in the road? I mean, nothing guaranteed, obviously, but what do you think they pan out here?
I think we all agree that the Western Conference is weaker than the East, especially this year. I think that they definitely survive the storm. This reeks of long-term IR money being able to be used to go and get a big guy at the deadline. So if anything, I think it's working in their favor to get these big dogs who went through that long run last year a little bit of rest through the difficult grind days of the season. But yes, I think that they make it through, even if they get to a wild card spot and they get everybody back healthy and maybe they're able to then go and get a big move at the deadline. They're going to have to address that second line center spot. And we don't need to talk about it today. We can bump it back to who we're going to assume might be a guy that they go get at the deadline. But Colorado's fine. There's no reason to hit the panic button right now. They got all their guys there. They just got to get healthy.
I'm with you, Biz, but I just devil's advocate. It's like as time goes on and you stay this way and you're losing ground more and more to Dallas and Winnipeg and in that Central and Minnesota, the way they're playing, they should get. They're going to get in the playoffs, but you got to right the ship at one point. Injuries aside, it's like you can deal with it now. If we're into the beginning of February and they're playing the same type of hockey they are now, that's when you start to wonder, like, all right, they got to get a winning streak going here.
Yeah, they got to get off the schneid a little bit more. You just mentioned Winnipeg. Unfortunately, they're going to be without Blake Wheeler. He's going to miss at least 4 weeks after groin surgery. He took a shot from Josh Morrissey. I don't know if it was, you hear groin, you think, nuts and balls, but I don't know if it was the actual groin muscle. Either way, he's going to be out. He briefly left the game. He returned to finish it. What a goddamn warrior. Nate Schmidt also going to be out, missing him for 4 to 6 weeks, upper body injury. Jets currently a point back at Dallas for first in the Central. They do have 2 games in hand. And shout out to Morrissey, man. Still leads the team in scoring, 36 points in 31 games, just a point away from tying his career high already. And he just passed Big Buff for the longest assist and point streak by a defenseman, franchise history. And Connor Hellebuck, man, this kid, he started 24 out of 30. He's 3rd in save percentage, 4th in goals against, tied for 1st in shutouts. Is this another guy we should probably be mentioning the MVP race?
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say. And it's no surprise that the way that he's performed this year. I mean, I know there was times that people wondered what was going on last year, but he just seems to be so dialed into his game. And I think that the entire change, we kind of mentioned it briefly a few weeks ago. We talked to Kyle Connor, that the change in the culture there and getting a new voice in as head coach and just figuring out things, it certainly worked to their benefit. And at times, I think our podcast has maybe been a little bit hard on Pierre-Luc Dubois, but holy shit, is that guy playing some hockey right now. And when you talk about power forwards, maybe his name doesn't get mentioned enough because he can score, he can skate, and if you want to fucking test him, he'll drop. He's got no problem. So that's a guy who's really stepped up. The Wheeler injury sucks, and I'm glad you shouted out him coming back into that game. I think even the GM had mentioned in the interview when talking about the time he's going to miss, how tough he is to get back into that game.
Morrissey probably in Norris conversations right now too.
If you're leading your team in scoring, yeah, you have to be mentioned.
And he's more known for going against top pairs and shutting them down. So with the points, man, fucking Winnipeg making some noise.
60-1 beginning of the year, or so I heard.
Oh yeah,
here we go.
Got
30 future bets.
No, I only got a couple this year. Vegas defenseman Alex Pietrangelo returned to the lineup. He missed 9 games due to his 4-year-old daughter Evelyn. She became seriously ill around Thanksgiving. She caught the flu, which led to encephalitis, which led to a lesion on her brain, and she lost her motor skills. Real scary stuff. I mean, anybody, but let alone as a parent. Fortunately, she was able to come home last week. She's been improving enough where dad felt comfortable to return to the game. She's going to make a full recovery. So we just want to reach out to Alex and say we're very happy to hear she's doing much better. Of course, Evelyn. So best wishes to them and happy health going forward. It sounds like she's going to be okay. But you hate to hear any stuff with kids involved in it. It's good he, made his family their priority. Maybe not something would have happened 30 or 40 years ago in this league, and there's no reason it shouldn't this day and age. So continued good health to the Pietrangelo family. Trevor Moore signed a 5-year extension with the LA Kings worth $21 million. Comes out to $4.2 million a year. He's got 18 points in 33 games this year. He had career highs in goals, assists, and points last year. He would have been unrestricted, but this is an undrafted local kid. They got him in the trade that sent Kyle Clifford and Jack Campbell back to Toronto, but he's felt a nice little role for them, Biz.
Oh, he's a heck of a player. He had a big breakout year last year, and a great trade for them to make use of those guys and get a big piece back, and a nice commitment to him. Secure him up for the next 5 years at a great cap hit. And I think that he can continue to accelerate his game, and definitely a guy that they want around for a long time. So LA's kind of
Biz, I looked into some of their stuff. They're not as bad as it sounds. Their goaltending is horrible.
Yeah, their goaltending's really been killing them. And I think that as of late, they've been struggling. They came out of the gate playing pretty good, but they got to figure out the goaltending situation. And I don't know when is Cal Peterson back up at this point?
No, Felix Koppel's been playing his ass off lately.
Yes.
Ironically, he's been, kind of a journeyman career, but he's been playing his ass off. And I mean, as bad as their goaltending's been with, they're fucking second in the Pacific right now, 39 points. So if they can get Quickie back or Peterson to those levels, man,
they sent Quentin Byfield down, which is totally understandable. A young kid that high of a pick, let's get him playing more minutes, and he's done a good job in terms of going down there and playing well. But it's still a bright future, and it's a team that I thought might take a step back this year. But like, if they had better goaltending, they could be challenging Vegas right now for the top of that division, or at least be like playing a little bit better. So I still think LA is going to get into the playoffs. I don't know if I picked him to get in our preseason preview, but yeah, I think it's kind of credit to Todd McClellan. He's done a good job, and that team, they'll figure it out. Jonathan Quick, he'll get hot at the right time.
Bizarre to see a team with a -10 goal differential and be second in their division. Like don't usually the goal differential is a strong correlation to where teams end up. So just a kind of a bizarre season for them. And like you said, though, like imagine being second and you're still not, I guess, playing up to what you think is your standard. So yeah, that's a very sneaky team out west that could do a lot of damage, especially if they get a hot goaltender.
No doubt. All right, time for the double wristed time, as Biz calls it. Shout out to Craig Anderson. He became the second oldest goalie to ever record a 40-save shutout. 41 years old, 206 days. Johnny Bauer is the only guy who's been older than him. How about Andrew Hammond, the Hamburglar? He retired after 6 NHL seasons. Obviously, he had a lot of years in the AHL. He was with Colorado, Ottawa, Montreal, and New Jersey. But we got to go to that 2014-15 Ottawa Senators. He went 21-2 with a .941 save percentage, a .179 goals against, 3 shutouts, carried that Ottawa Senators team into the playoffs. They did end up losing the first round. Of course, the fucking burger gets thrown on the ice. Curtis Lazar eats it. Just such an epic tale from the Ottawa Senators. So shout out to the Hamburglar, Andrew Hammond, man. He's just one of those great little stories that was hot for a little while, and kind of like Moose Hedberg back in the day, Biz, right?
I think he got a card that gave him McDonald's for life.
That's Grinelli's dream.
I'd take it. I'd love that.
Holy fuck, he'd never leave McDonald's again.
I got a buffalo chicken pizza waiting for me on the other side of this laptop right now. Whit.
Not from McDonald's.
Sounds great. This local little pub, Darcy's in Milton, they have a honey mustard chicken pizza.
Oh.
And some people may say, dude, Biz, you're the biggest hero Whole Foods fucking hiking loser to kind of make that noise at this pizza. This pizza is so legit. It's crazy.
Okay, well, hey, we're coming there for the Winter Classic. I'll go there and I'll try this honey mustard pizza.
All right.
Well, I bet half the people listening probably puked outside their window in the car when they heard honey mustard chicken pizza.
I mean, Biz, when you were here at Charlestown a couple of years ago, we had the house right by Brewer's Fork. How good was that Killer Bee pizza with it had the pepperoni with the hot honey on it?
Was a spot.
Phenomenal stuff.
We ate there 14 times.
Oh, seriously. Yeah. 1,000. Well,
kept
right
them in business during COVID.
Absolutely. Wade Redden became the first player inducted into the Senators Ring of Honor last week. Just the second member to be inducted after Brian Murray. I don't know, you would have thought at least one other player would have got there by now. I mean, I know they've retired a few numbers. Chris Neal's number 25 is going to go up in February, but either way, congrats to Wade Redden. Hell of a presence in Ottawa for a long time. Got to the Stanley Cup with him back in the day. And Ryan Reynolds, man, he's very horny for Ottawa. We said last week the NHL is basically going to pair him up with whatever money works. He said, I will be a frothy, rabies-infused fan, the likes of which the NHL has never seen. I mean, that's debatable when you look at some of the fan bases around the league. But either way, man, I think everybody wants Ryan Reynolds to be involved with the NHL. I think it's pretty fucking obvious at this point. And let's see, Jason Robertson and Mikko Rantanen are the 11th and 12th players to have 100 points in the calendar year 2022. Only 3 years have had more in the fucking history of the NHL, 1992, 1983, and 1984. We still have a couple weeks left in the season, so just the scoring is so good. The league is so good. We talk about it all the time. Awesome stuff. Dynamite time to be a fan of the league.
All right, quick, just another quick shout out to remind everyone, every fan out there who wishes their team had a stalwart, a superstar in net and in D and at up front. The Dallas Stars got Robertson, Heiskanen, and Ottinger in the same draft.
So there is hope.
Yeah.
One draft, they got three studs.
That's
for some of you loser fan bases out there, it could change quick.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a great call, Wick. Great call. For the Thrasher fans out there, we know there's still a few of them out there. The Atlantic Gladiators of the East Coast League, they bust out the old threads this weekend, Biz. Did you got to look at them? I never realized how cool they were when they had them back in the day. I don't know if people picked on the Thrashers, but shout out to Anson Carter for making it happen. What, they got about 8,000 people in the building the other night?
My TNT brother, Anson Carter, man, he's a part owner in that team. And since taking over, they've made it a splash, especially attendance-wise. I want to say they had 8,500 to 9,000 people at that game with the throwback jerseys. That's a shit ton of people for an ECHL game. So great way to grow hockey down south, and they're doing an incredible job since taking over. And also Nesbitt's involved as an assistant coach now after retiring, after hitting his 1,000 game mark last year, retired his jersey this year, and now he's an assistant. So a lot of positive things going down in the East Coast Hockey League.
Super nice arena there too, where they play at.
Great barn.
Your other desk mate gets a shout out as well this week. Wayne Gretzky, congrats to him in the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, the new National Lacrosse League team in Vegas. He's a part owner of, along with Joe Tsai, Steve Nash, and Dustin Johnson. You going to be able to make a game up there or what, Biz?
I would love to do a little behind the scenes video of going to see a lacrosse game with Wayno. Wayno is a big baseball and lacrosse guy in the summertime. He liked getting away from hockey. So maybe we can do interview round two, and we can go check out a game.
He said once a year.
It's funny, actually. I got the Desert Dog shorts on because he sent me a merch package. So
I got that merch pack. I like the logo.
Maybe he'll even let me try out for the team next year, just like the Vancouver Warriors did when they fucking snubbed me.
Maybe you can go to a game and then you and Revo can fight at Caesar's Palace afterwards. Ideally. That would be fucking sick at Caesars. The World Juniors, man, talk about burying the lead here. They start Monday in Halifax and in Moncton. Seattle Shane Wright was named captain of Canada. Whit, real quick, like a successful journey for this kid. Would that give him enough confidence, like join Seattle and actually be like a force, maybe, or at least much more of a contributing factor later in the season, or what?
I mean, you saw him go down to the AHL, light it up, and come back. And as Bizstradamus called it, he got his first goal. It doesn't really matter. It sounds crazy, but no matter if you're in the NHL and you go down to a different level, you go down to the AHL, you go to World Juniors, and you light it up, no matter what, that's a good thing. Now, I don't know if he'll be going back to the NHL. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of maybe going to the OHL if there's a trade for his rights. But no matter what, if he goes down and plays well, which I'm sure he will, Canada has a wagon of a team. It just is so nice as a player to feel the puck, get your touches, produce offensively, and then feel like yourself after being in the NHL and grinding away, not playing many minutes. So no matter where he ends up post-tournament, it's all for the better. I love the fact that they sent him there. And if you remember, during the lockout canceled season, my first year pro, when the AHL was loaded, Patrice Bergeron was in the AHL with Providence, and he went to the World Juniors with the greatest Canadian team of all time. So if he can do it a year after playing completely full-time in the NHL, or maybe 2 years, then anyone can go there and really gain a lot of good things from playing well at a tournament against the best players in the world your age.
I know we're going to talk about it next week, and you kind of mentioned it briefly there, but this Canada team is going to be fun to watch. They are going to be so good. Shane Wright, Connor Bedard. This is going to be one of the better Canada teams we've seen in the past few years.
Yeah, Gia, once again, the World Juniors do start Monday, so be sure to check it out. Now, a couple more notes here before we let you go. We want to send our deepest condolences to our very good buddy, John Buchagras, on the death of his father, Edward Michael Buchagras, who passed away at 90 years old. I reached out to Booch on DM'd him, and he told me that, quote, he couldn't have had a better one. He was a salty beauty, talking about his dad. And Booch, we just hope you're doing all right, buddy. We were so sorry to hear about your loss. And your dad sounded like a great guy. And condolences.
That's why
to you once
Bucci was a
again.
hockey fan. He got him into hockey. The guy played goalie, and I've known Bucci for a long time. I shot him a text as well. Just that's really hard to hear, but what a great guy he sounds like he was. Yeah, guys. Certainly a tough thing to bring up, especially around this time of year. But tragedy struck in London in the OHL. Abakar Kazbekov passed away this past week, and it's just such a heartbreaking story. I actually spoke to the kid whose parents billeted him, and naturally the family was just so devastated. The kid mentioned that his dad would always tell him how great of a person he was, a truly special kid to have around. And I think with our show, we've mentioned many times that, we try to make you guys laugh. We try to have fun, but there's no more rewarding feeling than times we hear from people in terms of helping them when they're not feeling great. And coming from somebody, I lost my aunt. She took her own life years back. So it's a thing that hits close and personal to home. And it's just like when we talk to you guys, I know we can all say it and everyone has times of battling stuff. Nothing is ever that bad. It'll never be that bad. It's something I remember as a kid, my father and my mother saying to me, nothing's ever that bad. And I look in the eyes of my kids, and it's something I'll pass forward to them. And mental illness is such a scary, horrible thing. We've mentioned it so many times. It's such a heavy, tough subject to talk about, but I want everyone listening, whoever's going through a tough time, it's never that bad. There's people who love and care about you out there. There's people who will do anything to help you. You got to reach out, and you hope that people reach out to you. But I'll say it again, it is never that bad. And it's such a heartbreaking story for the London Knights, teammates of this kid, his family, his billet family. And I think that's why maybe I mentioned the Saturday night I spoke to this kid on Saturday, and then I went out with my friends and I looked around, and it's like, realize at this time of year how blessed you are to have friends and family that love you and care about you. And if it's a time in your life that you feel like there isn't anyone, I promise you there is. And please just reach out to people, tell people how you're feeling, and just know nothing is ever that bad. And at this time of year, I'll also say, just look at people that you love and care about, and appreciate how lucky you are to have loved ones, to have friends, to have people who truly care about what you're doing and how your life's going. And we feel so sorry to have to talk about this and have to mention this at this time of year, but being Christmas, being the new year, appreciate what you have, and know for people who are struggling, it's never that bad. And so I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I thank you so much for listening, and please reach out to me if you ever need to, and just know that things will get better, and we wish his family prayers. They're in our thoughts and prayers, and it's just a horrible thing. But at this time of year, just know you're loved, and appreciate your family and appreciate your friends. And we thank you so much for listening. So God bless, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and we'll be back to you next week.